Friday night in West Virginia. For the next 3 hours, it's high school basketball from across the Mountain State. Live from Marshall University, here's your host, Ryan Epling.
And we're back on another edition of Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, a celebration of high school basketball in the Mountain State. I'm Ryan Epling. Braxton Crisp is with me as we begin the 9th week of the program this year. Whoa, where does it go, right? We're almost 2/3 of the way through the entire season, and we're not talking about just the regular season. That's 2/3 of the way, including the postseason. So the girls' postseason is just literally about 3 weeks away from beginning. The boys' postseason begins in about a month. But boy, there are a lot of good basketball games tonight. Seems like we say that every week, but it's also because it is true. The Big Atlantic Classic going on at the Raleigh County Armory in Beckley, the Raleigh County Convention Center, as it is now officially called. We're looking forward to following along with that. A lot of big games, a lot of teams, and non-traditional matchups down there. Some traditional matchups there as well. And we've got some great ball games going on right now, and we'll get you an update on scores, a full scoreboard in just a moment. One game going on at this moment, 33 seconds to go in a Putnam County duel that is right now a classic where Winfield leads Hurricane 65-63 with 33 seconds to go in that ball game. And again, Hurricane, we talked last week with JT Rogaszewski. That team last year was a team that made it to the state championship game, lost in a heartbreaker to Huntington in what was one of the better championship games we've had in a long time, although we've had some great ones. I mean, you just go back to the Wheeling Park George Washington game a few years ago that had the controversial video review of a 3 that was changed to a 2 that went to overtime, and George Washington won that ball game then. But we also had the Wyoming County rivals getting back together again, West Side and Wyoming East, round 2 of a possible 5 matchups between the two teams this year. They played earlier this week down in Beckley. Ironically, they had that Wyoming County showdown in Raleigh County, but it was part of the Big Atlantic Classic as well. We'll talk about that game too. And again, some games going on tonight of interest that we'll talk about. The Hometown Invitational, they were able to kind of get that back on track. Weather a little bit of a factor for some schools across the state of West Virginia tonight. I know this morning was rough. Braxton Crisp, though you're with us right now, because Coach Marone, again, scheduled a ball game tonight. And James Collier had Spring Valley's game with Cabell Midland, and he'll be here a little bit later on as well. Coach Marone will join us from Tulsa High School, not from here in the studio. But Braxton, I mean, last Friday night in January, I mean, we're literally like roughly 3.5, 4 weeks away from the beginning of March Madness.
That's a crazy thing to think about, especially because there's already a lot of March Madness type games going on. I mean, you mentioned the possibility of seeing Wyoming East and West Side play 5 times in a single season. And there are some rivalries that don't get to happen every single season because of scheduling conflicts that can't find a common date to get together. But you get to probably one of the hottest rivalries in the state. I put in the top 5 hottest rivalries in the state right now, getting together 5 separate times.
Well, speaking of rivals, and we'll go through a full scoreboard here in just a moment, but that Winfield Hurricane game now tied at 65 after a pair of free throws by the Redskins with 9 seconds to go. And that's just one of those that's again a typical rivalry game. I think a lot of people thought maybe Hurricane had kind of gotten through the rough patches earlier in the season, maybe had righted the ship. Still believe that, but Winfield has a good basketball team. Bear Bellamy, a good player, he just fouled out. But you're also talking in this situation about a Hurricane team, Braxton, that earlier this week put 101 on Spring Valley and hit 17 threes in that ball game. And now they're in a dogfight down to the final possession with Winfield just three days later.
Welcome to the Mountain State Athletic Conference. That's the simplest way to put it. You don't normally see a team that's ranked in the top 10, right outside. I think the highest receiving votes team in the AP poll this week was Hurricane, and they dropped 101 on a team that's also receiving votes. And that just doesn't happen very often, but welcome to the MSAC. Anything can happen on any night.
Well, a there have been, and I was just following along today, that tonight alone, there were something like 4 or 5 players that I am aware of that were right on the fringe of the 1,000 point mark for their careers, including Greg Herbert at Spring Valley, who was 2 points away going into tonight's game with Cabell Midland, and then he got it within 7 seconds of tip-off.
Yeah,
So
Brandon Napper got his tonight as well at South Charleston.
Yeah,
and a big win there for the Black Eagles over St. Albans.
Yeah, so I mean they're just all over the place. But again, we know you're here because you want scores. Of course, we'll have our regular assortment of listeners as well, and our callers also coming up. Another game that we'll talk much more about in depth in just a moment that was held earlier this week. You want to talk about running the gauntlet? That's what Morgantown's girls have been doing of late. I mean, they just since we last spoke on this program, they played 3 teams that may very well be within the top 5 in the state of West Virginia and beat them all by double figures. So that Morgantown ball club around the fringe of the national top 25 last week. That girls basketball team is for real. And again, we'll talk a little bit more about them and that big matchup with Parkersburg South in just a moment. But Braxton, let's get our first check of the basketballnight.com scoreboard.
And it is our first basketballnight.com scoreboard of the evening. We'll start in boys class AAA. South Charleston hosted the St. Albans Red Dragons tonight, as I mentioned a moment ago, an 80-47 victory for the Black Eagles, with guard Brandon Napper scoring his 1,000th point. In the game earlier this afternoon at the Big Atlantic Classic in Beckley, Parkersburg South travels down I-77 and gets a 83-76 victory over the Princeton Tigers. Also at the Big Atlantic Classic, Greenbrier East heads west on I-64 to get a 80-64 win over Hampshire, who had a long way to go from Romney down to Beckley. Other games in Class AAA worth noting: Brooke is postponed their game against John Marshall. That'll be played February 18th. Also in Class AAA at the Big Atlantic Classic, Martinsburg up in Shady Spring 57-49. In Class AA, the number 1 Polka Dots get a victory 63-23 over Herbert Hoover. Independence at Westside was canceled for this evening. No word on a rescheduled date as of yet. Scott and Sissonville, a 7-10 Class AA matchup. The Skyhawks travel to Sissonville and get a 64-49 victory. St. Mary's was scheduled to play one of those non-traditional but getting there rivalries over at Ravenswood at the Pit, and that game's rescheduled for February 12th due to the weather today. Petersburg plays a bit of a close game there against Frankfort in terms of geography. Not close on the scoreboard, though. 74-32 Vikings over the Falcons. Pikeview and Summers County, they'll try it again tomorrow. Tonight was their original rescheduled date from last night's canceled game, and today got canceled as well. Up in Wheeling, the Maroon Knights of Wheeling Central victorious over Martins Ferry in Ohio, 85-66. Payton City and Valley Fayette scheduled to play in the West Virginia Hometown Invitational, and that one postponed to February 4th. But a game that did play in the Hometown Invitational tonight was Valley Wetzel welcoming the Buffalo Bison. That was a 78-65 victory for the Lumberjacks. In other Class Single A action, the Man Hillbillies and the Montcalm Generals canceled for this evening, as were the 100 Hornets and Paw Paw Pirates as part of the West Virginia Hit Tournament. And that'll do it for boys. Let's go over to the girls' scoreboard. Just a couple of scores to report. One earlier today was the first game of the day at the Big Atlantic Classic in Beckley. The Wyoming East Warriors, number 1 in Class AA, rebound from their first loss of the season to St. Albans earlier this week to get a 72-42 win over the Brook Bruins. Calhoun County is scheduled to go to Clay County, number 7 in Class AA. The Panthers are. That game was canceled. Also in action in Class AA, Mingo Central wins the girls' version of the Battle of Mingo County, a 58-34 decision over the Tug Valley Panthers. And that's all for this early edition of the BasketballNight.com scoreboard.
As always, you can tweet your scores to @hoops_roundup. You can also give us a call, 1-855-345-4709. And as always, visit basketballnight.com. It's got all the ways that you can get a hold of us here on the program. Earlier this week, the Morgantown Mohegans on the girls' side, like I said, they ran a gauntlet, so to speak. They kind of played a state tournament-esque schedule of opponents, and one of those was a visit to Parkersburg South and in front of a rowdy crowd in the South Side Psychos, as they are called, the student section there at Parkersburg South earlier this week. Morgantown picked up a win. Chad Richards, WSPW, he had that ball game, and Chad, for Parkersburg South, a difficult loss, but at the same time, much like a year ago in the state championship game, the Patriots suffered an injury in that ball game with Morgantown in the flow of the game, and it really hampered their efforts to try to win that basketball game. Chad, are you with us? All right, I'm going to put Chad back on hold. And, guys, if you can get a check up with Chad back there. But what I was alluding to, Taryn McCutcheon, the sophomore who has already verbally committed to Michigan State, junior now. She verbally committed as a sophomore. She was injured in that ball game, suffered a back injury, tried to play through it, could not, had to leave the game. So Morgantown ended up being able to pull away and beat Parkersburg South in that game. Again, that was earlier this week. Back on Tuesday, 47-34 was the final. Morgantown got that win. Chad Richards, I believe we've got you now. Chad, you with us?
Yes, I am.
All right, there you are. Yeah, Parkersburg South. That's a tough loss. Again, with McCutcheon unable to finish that ball game due to injury.
Yes, indeed. It was definitely a heartbreaker. But before I get into the full recap, one addition to make to the scoreboard tonight. Williamstown Yellow Jackets beat Parkersburg South Crusaders 90-48. That game just finished moments ago.
All right, we'll get that added in.
And yeah, McCutcheon did get injured around 3 minutes left in the third. But in the first quarter, they were doing pretty good, 11-7. But then Morgantown picked up its speed. I think that was because Morgantown High School was doing a good job covering up Bartlett. Then they went on a 12-0 Morgantown run, which McCutcheon stopped with a three-pointer. The Morgantown Mohegans got every offensive shot they wanted in the second quarter. And it was just downhill from there for the Lady Patriots.
Well, that's, again, a tough loss. They don't lose very often at home, being Parkersburg South. And I know that was maybe a little bit of a difficult one, but not a lot of time to really mope about that one because it's turned right around and got the battle for Parkersburg coming up this week, tomorrow night.
Yes, indeed. And it was their first home loss this season, as well as their first loss in Ohio Valley Athletic Conference and Two Rivers Athletic Conference. Scoring players from the game, Taryn McCutcheon only had 8, but Kia Bartlett only had 7. And that might be because Morgantown High School was doing a good job playing defense around her. Because we've been used to Kia Bartlett scoring double digits, around the 20-point range.
Yeah, that Morgantown Ball Club, very good. I know that that was also your first chance to get to see them this year. Just your thoughts seeing Morgantown, the reigning state champions, who have a lot of players back from a year ago as well.
Actually, unfortunately, due to complications and circumstances beyond my control, I was not able to attend the game, but I do have stats that were passed along to me.
All right, go right ahead.
Well, as I previously said, Taryn McCutcheon had 8 points, Kia Bartlett had 7 points, Bird had 8, Peyton had 6, Wilson had 5. So that's their third loss in varsity. Again, their first loss in Ohio Valley, first loss in Two Rivers, and their first at home.
Again, Parkersburg South tomorrow takes on Parkersburg. Chad Richards, WSPW, we appreciate you joining us, and you have a good weekend, buddy.
Thank you.
All right, and the reason I mentioned that, again, Morgantown with the injury issue, if you go back to last year's AAA state title game, it was Kia Bartlett who went down for Parkersburg South early in that ball game, and Morgantown was able to beat the Patriots, and that was Parkersburg South's only loss a year ago, and it came in the state finals. If you go back a year ago, though, and again to kind of lend the proper perspective to these games that were in the regular season, Morgantown lost, I think, 4 times or 3 or 4 times to Parkersburg South in the regular season in games that were very competitive and got closer and closer and closer as they went along. And then when they got to the state championship game, Morgantown got them in the one that mattered.
I think the really truth part about the last season's kind of matchups between Morgantown and Parkersburg South was that every single game Parkersburg South did win, but they got closer and closer and closer it did Morgantown. And Morgantown really peaked at the right time because it seemed like once sectional and regional play started, Morgantown was unstoppable, and they've carried it on into this season.
Well, that was a team that a year ago had a sophomore at the time by the name of Olivia Segi, who really put that team on her back. She's got a little bit more help this year. She's not had to handle the bulk of the scoring this year for that team, but still, that Morgantown Ball Club right now ranked 27th nationally in the USA Today High School Super 25 rankings. They moved up one spot since last week, but that didn't include their games with Parkersburg South, with Huntington, who they beat by 10 last night in the Big Atlantic Classic, and did not include that win over Logan from earlier this week, or from Saturday as well. Actually did have the win over Logan, but nonetheless, still, Morgantown gets that win over Parkersburg South there earlier in girls basketball action, and again, we'll talk more about those games later on throughout the course of the program. Right now, we've got to step aside and take a break. When we come back, we will talk with Lincoln Morgan, who he was at that Williamstown Parkersburg Catholic game. We'll talk with him in just a moment as Basketball Friday Night continues here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
A big thank you to our newest affiliate, 91.5 FM WRSG in Middleburn. And we want to thank Scott Northcraft and Greg Goodfellow for getting us on the air in Middleburn tonight. Also, you can listen to us in a lot of places. You can find us on 106.7 FM WHFI in Linside, 101.9 FM WVOW in Logan, 90.7 FM WFGH Fort Gay, 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM WQAZ Edmond, Beckley, 101.7 FM WYAP-LP Clay, 88.1 FM WMUL in Huntington, Power 92 Radio, 92.3 FM WYRC-LP in Spencer, 97.9 FM WSPW-LP in Parkersburg. If you're a cable subscriber, you can find us in the Huntington area on Comcast Channel 25, Armstrong Cable Digital Channel 204. You can find our online video and our live stream available at basketballnight.com. Video is also available at rsnsports.com. Online audio you can listen with any computer or mobile device. basketballnight.com. Click on Listen Live. Join us every Friday night from 9 to midnight at the home of high school basketball in the Mountain State. It's Basketball Friday Night. Go to our homepage and check out tonight's poll question. We'd like to hear from you and want you to participate. Also, make sure you send us your scores tonight. Give us a tweet at @hoops_roundup. At @hoops_roundup. Basketball Friday Night, West Virginia's high school basketball voice.
Celebrating high school basketball around the Mountain State, you're listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to your hosts, James Collier, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
9:18 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling, Braxton Crisp with you. James Collier will join us a little bit later on. Coach Rick Marone is currently busy, trying to pick up a win tonight with the Tulsa Lady Rebels. Our resident referee, Bo Anderson, is with us. We'll do that segment in a moment, guys. Don't hit Bo's music just yet. We're not quite ready for his full introduction, but we'll do that a little bit later on. But a game that we continue to kind of update you on. They're right now late in overtime. Hurricane with a 2-point lead now over Winfield, 75-73, and that Putnam County battle just going right down to the wire right now.
Winfield hasn't been the the team that everyone in MSAC is really scared of this season. But that doesn't mean that, Hurricane's not going to bring the best on them. And usually those Putnam County schools, they like to get after it on each other.
And now we're down to the final 4 seconds of play, and Hurricane has a 1-point lead as Winfield had been able to tie the game but then committed a foul, and Hurricane making 1 of 2 at the free throw line for that 1-point lead. And that game should be just about over, and it has now gone final, and Hurricane survives in overtime, beating Winfield tonight 76-75. We'll have much more on that game. We're going to have to we'll find somebody to talk to that game about. That was a great ball game tonight. But speaking of big ball games tonight, the Williamstown Yellow Jackets pick up a win tonight over Parkersburg Catholic. Lincoln Morgan, WSPW, joins us now, and Lincoln, nice win tonight for the Yellow Jackets.
Absolutely. They played outstanding on both ends of the court. I mean, they could not miss a shot. And Josh Palmer, who was also our player of the game, led it all scoring with 21 points.
Very good win. Anytime you can beat Parkersburg Catholic, that's a feather in the cap. But now that Williamstown team is 12-2 on the year, and big win over Madonna back on 2 days ago, back on Wednesday night. Had a tough loss to Bishop Donahue last week on Saturday, but still that was a 12-point loss to Bishop Donahue. But the Yellow Jackets quietly putting together a season that is going to perhaps have them in discussion to get to Charleston, which is, I guess, the goal of every team at this point.
Yes, they are definitely going to be in the discussion. They tonight especially was just a great night for them as they came out and it seemed like they were on a mission and put up 90 points on the scoreboard and had some nice defense causing turnover after turnover after turnover. So, yes, an overall great performance by the Yellow Jackets.
So Williamstown now with games coming up Monday against Wood County Christian on the road, and then heading to the Pit in Ravenswood on Tuesday night. So that ball club will continue to be tested over the course of the next week. Also have a game Thursday at home against Work County. So busy week for Williamstown coming up.
Yes, that is correct.
All right, Lincoln Morgan, we always appreciate it, and good job tonight, and we'll talk with you next week.
All right, thank you guys for having me on the show.
All right, we definitely appreciate it. Again, that was Lincoln Morgan, WSPW, Williamstown, getting the win tonight over Parkersburg Catholic in boys basketball action. Coach Rick Marone, I believe we now have him. He's down at Tulsa High School. Coach Marone, you with us?
Sorry, I was a little bit late getting on, but got to listen to some of the show, and sounds like a lot of action tonight, even though the weather was a little bit of an issue.
All right, Coach, let's talk a little bit about the reason you're not here. You had a ball game tonight.
Yeah, I tell you what, we had a good game here with Scott, and our girls really played well. We had a rough week this week, lost a couple games earlier in the week, and we really were struggling. We'd lost 6 in a row, and we had a real complete game tonight. We got a 69-43 win, and I thought we shared the ball well, and it was a good conference win and a sectional win for us. So, it's nice for the kids to be able to see some positive things for their efforts.
Well, again, another nice win. Scott is 5-10 coming into the ball game, but still, point being here is that that's a Scott team that has several wins within the section. It's a team that just a few years ago had made it to 3 straight AA state title games, and unfortunately for the Skyhawks, lost all 3 before last year. But this year, for whatever reason, it seems as though you really have their number, because both wins over Scott this year for your ball club have been pretty handily.
Yeah, I tell you, sometimes it's about matchups and things coming together, and we shot the ball well. And, Ryan, we shared the ball exceptionally well. We had, I think, 21 assists, which is a lot for us. Mariah Finley, our point guard, had 14 herself. We cut our turnovers down. We had just 10 turnovers, and we moved the ball well against their zone, and that's something we struggled with earlier this week against Chesapeake and Mingo. But it was a sectional win and a conference win for us, and we're hoping we can build on that. We've got Polka coming in Tuesday, and Friday is Herbert Hoover. So we're still trying to get some momentum going towards the end of the season.
Cardinal Conference isn't very forgiving, and I think any coach that's within any league will kind of feel that about their league. But it's definitely true within this league because, I mean, you look at the other teams within your section, at least within your sectional, it seems like those teams are all beating each other, meaning that we could have a very entertaining postseason there. It's definitely not one that would be easy to predict at this point. And on the opposite side, Sissonville, Clay County, Nicholas County, and Polka. I mean, those are really good basketball teams.
Yeah, Hoover
and Herbert
in there
Hoover.
too.
Yeah,
they've been in the top 10 this year, and I think you're right, Ryan. Like in our sectional, Chapmanville has separated herself a little bit. They've had good success against the other teams. They've all been competitive games, and then the rest of us have really been beating each other, like you said. So I really think if somebody could get some momentum going into tournament time, they might be able to make some noise. But it's a rough go because the conference is so tough.
Of course, we always appreciate you joining us, and you're down at Tulsa High School right now instead of in studio with us. Braxton, I believe you had a question for Coach Malone.
Yeah, Coach, your team got the win tonight, and you're not in studio. Does that mean we're not going to see you the rest of the year?
If it would help, I would be the nomad. I would be on the road, and I really appreciate you all letting me be a part. And the guys there do a great job of connecting me with the show. And I just want to say you guys are doing a great job. And the feedback down in our end down here is awesome. And I don't know how many people come up and say how great the show is. So you all do a tremendous job. But yeah, if it would get us a couple more wins, I would gladly exit stage left.
Well, the magic of radio, it sounds like you're right next to us like normal. James Collier has just arrived back from Spring Valley's game with Cavill Midland. We'll talk with him, get the debriefing on that game in a few moments. But, Coach, before we go too far along here, we do have our resident referee in the house, Bo Miller. No, Bo Miller. No, wrong Bo. Whoa.
Wow. I just got
Bo's going to call you in a minute.
There's your zinger right there for tonight.
I hope Bo's listening.
You're
He's
right.
probably
That's
ready
right.
to call in.
Bo Anderson is with us tonight. We definitely appreciate that. Sorry, Bo Anderson. I apologize to Bo Anderson. I do not apologize to Bo Miller because that would have been a compliment for Coach Miller. Right? He's a good,
Hey,
I know,
there we
Coach.
go.
I like him. But, Bo, welcome back to the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia set. We're always happy to have you, and a rare Friday night off for you this week.
Yeah, I have a night off once in a while, and had a game last night, actually at Tulsa, and I owe Fred Dameron one because when I got introduced last night, I got introduced as the resident referee, and it really went overboard, and I got the biggest round of applause I've ever had. So I owe Fred. I'm sure he's listening. But and Coach Marone, also I was told that I should commend you because you don't have a technical foul yet this year. My understanding is so. I got
the only one I have, Bo, is one you gave me, Ryan, and James in the studio. That's the only one I have received.
Hey, at least you got it from the best then, right? But I've got a couple of good stories. I'll save them for now, and so we can get on to the show. But I've got a couple of good ones and a couple of things I want to talk about later on.
And we'll definitely do that. A little bit later on, we'll get with Mike DePasquale about the girls' hometown invitational tournament. We'll do that in just a little bit because we're almost against a break, but I want to do that after the break. But James Collier, you're here with us now, and James, big night for Spring Valley. Greg Herbert goes over the 1,000-point mark, one of several to do so on this Friday night across the state of West Virginia. And for Spring Valley, coming off that loss to Hurricane, where Hurricane basically everything it threw up went in, it felt like.
Oh, yeah, that's breaking news. Hurricane just hit another three. That's what it felt like that night. Even the official, one time coming down the sideline, I made a comment on the air. I said, if Hurricane continues to shoot like this, there's not a team in the state that will beat it. And he said, you ain't kidding. Yeah, it was a good night for the Timberwolves. Greg Herbert scores the opening bucket for the game. It was 7 seconds into the contest, career point 1,000, so they stopped, presented him with a nice round of applause. He met at midcourt with Coach Corey Maynard. Very classy move by Steve Hibbard and his staff and players. They all gave him a standing ovation as well. But a career milestone. It's always one of those big accolades to be able to knock down 1,000 points, and then more importantly, you get a nice win over your rival, and at the same time put up 25 points. But a collective effort between Kilgore, Herbert tonight. Kilgore with 28. He didn't score in the fourth quarter. He didn't play in the fourth quarter, and puts up 28 and looks so silky smooth doing it. Riley Locklear is becoming an absolute beast for this team tonight. He missed a double-double by 2 points, but had 13 rebounds. This kid is still learning how to play basketball, and I promise you right now, he is a kid that if he stays with it over the next 2 years, he's probably going to be one of the most dominant post players in the state of West Virginia.
He's got to get the football out of him a little quicker.
He's getting there.
85-63 was that final score tonight. And James, you've been calling a lot of buckets.
I'd like to go back.
101 for Hurricane the other night, and now 85 tonight for
the
Wolves.
I had a 99 for Spring Valley out at Ashland Saturday night. This Cabell Midland team, give it credit. It hung in there. I mean, it could have folded up early. It was 6-0 Spring Valley. They trim it all the way back to 9-8, but then Spring Valley goes on a 10-0 run, closes out the quarter, leading 18-8, goes to the locker room with a 16-point lead and never looked back. But that team, Steve Hibbert has a lot of pieces there. Still trying to figure out the offense, figure out what he wants to do, but give that team a couple of years to find its way, find his system, and the Knights will return right where they left off.
So all you need to know, if you see James Collier in your gymnasium ready to call a ball game, get the scoreboard lights ready, because
you better make sure they're all on, because they're going to be used. I will promise you that. It doesn't matter if it's girls or boys. Either the foul lights are going to get lit up or the scoreboard. I'm good at both. I had a game last week in which I think it was almost 50 fouls called in the game, over 3/4 of them called on one side. So, yeah, make sure all the lights work on the scoreboard if I arrive.
So definitely keep an eye out for James Collier coming to a gym near you. Right now we're going to step aside, take a break. We'll come back. We'll get a scoreboard update. We'll also dig into some situational play with our resident referee, Bo Anderson. And, of course, we'll talk with Mike DePasquale about the Girls Hometown Invitational Tournament that is making progress right now all across West Virginia. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Once again, we want to welcome our new affiliate in Middleborough, 91.5 FM, WRSG. Big thank you to Scott Northcraft and Greg Goodfellow for getting us on the air there. Congratulations out to many of the players and our standout athletes of the week. Mackenzie Barker, Clay County Panthers. Gavin Nichols, Clay County Panthers. Jared West, Notre Dame. Jadarian Way, Parkersburg, Engage Wicks, Williamstown Yellow Jackets. If you've got an athlete that has done something quite remarkable or stands out on your team or in your community, we'd like to hear about it. Go to basketballnight.com and fill out the online form to nominate them for Basketball Friday Night Standout Athlete of the Week. Each week, we consider nominees based on leadership, performance on the court, volunteer work, involvement in the community, and academic performance. Every Friday night, we select a standout athlete of the week. Go to basketballnight.com/standout athlete. Fill out the online form with your nomination. You can find it all at Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. If you love basketball, then there's only one place to be. It's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, and we want you to become part of the show. Join us on Twitter @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. West Virginia's high school voice for basketball.
This is high school basketball's home for the Mountain State. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to Basketball Night in West Virginia with James Collier, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
9:34 on this basketball Friday night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling, James Collier, Braxton Crisp, and our resident referee, Bo Anderson, all with you tonight. Rick Marone also with us down at Tulsa High School. We'll get with everybody and touch base again with everybody in just a moment. We'll also talk with Mike DePasquale about the Girls Hometown Invitational Tournament, and we'll do that in just a moment. But first, let's get another check of the basketballnight.com scoreboard. Looking for scores? Look no more. Go to basketballnight.com. You would think I would know the website address by now. Nonetheless, boys class AAA scores tonight. Number 1 South Charleston defeats St. Albans 80-47. Brandon Napper hits the 1,000-point mark in this, his junior season. End of one period at the Big Atlantic Classic, the Raleigh County Armory. Woodrow Wilson all over Washington, 15-1. Flying Eagles off to a flying start.
Just saw a tweet that's actually 28-12 at half now.
All right, let's move forward. Yeah, 28-12 at the half. That is a big lead there for Woodrow Wilson. Also tonight, Parkersburg South, the run-and-gun Patriots of Mike Fallon continue to fill up the rim, and you need to call one of their games, James. 83-76, the final score tonight. Parkersburg South gets the win in the Big Atlantic Classic. Also in the Big Atlantic Classic, number 7 Greenbrier East hits 80 points tonight. The Spartans beat Hampshire 80-64, and a pretty good showing though for Hampshire, making that long trip down to Beckley and playing in that tournament. Number 10 Wheeling Park goes to Steubenville, Ohio, and beats the Big Red 58-49. Also tonight, Spring Valley defeats Cabell Midland 85-63. It was Shenandoah, Virginia. The Warriors beat Hedgesville tonight 51-35. In overtime, Hurricane survives at Winfield. They actually come back late in the fourth quarter to tie. They win it in overtime on a free throw with 3.5 seconds to go. 76-75. Redskins get the win. Also a final score tonight from the Big Atlantic Classic. Martinsburg defeats Shady Spring 57-49. Class AA. Number 1 Poca remains unbeaten. The Dots beat Herbert Hoover tonight 63-23. It was number 7 Scott all over number 10 Sissonville 63-49. Skyhawks get the win. Petersburg routs Frankfort tonight 74-32. Vikings with a big win. It was Indian Creek, Ohio over Weir 48-25. I'm becoming dyslexic all of a sudden there. Here's another big score, though, for you. Class Single A, Wheeling Central puts up 85. They beat the Martins Ferry Purple Raiders out of Ohio, 85-66. It was Williamstown over Parkersburg Catholic tonight, 88-48. Also, Valley Wetzel defeats Buffalo in the Hometown Invitational Tournament, 78-65, the final there. Moorfield wins the Hardy County Hardwood Classic against East Hardy in a thriller, 63-61. Yellow Jackets beat the homestanding Cougars. Also tonight, Sherman in the Hometown Invitational, a 70-69 win over South Harrison. That game right down to the wire as well. Moving on to girls basketball. Class AAA, it was Single A number 2 St. Joe out of Huntington beating AAA number 7 Hurricane tonight in the Huntington Invitational in Huntington, 56-52 is the final in that one. AA number 10 Bridgeport beats AAA number 10 Buchanan Upshur, 53-43. Indians get the win. Class AA, Wyoming East, ranked number 1 in AA, beats Brook 72-42. Gabby Lapardis, 15 points, 11 rebounds, 10 assists. That's the second triple-double for her in a week. That was for the Big Atlantic Classic. She's a freshman, too. Number 3, Fairmont Senior. The Polar Bears win their 14th straight. They beat Liberty Harrison tonight, 66-22. 6th-ranked Kaiser has only one loss tonight. They defeat Hampshire 67-50. It was Mingo Central defeating Tug Valley tonight. Battle in Mingo County, 58-34. The Miners come off the mountaintop to get the win in Naugatuck. Tulsa defeats Scott tonight, 69-43. Coach Marone and the Lady Rebels get the win in Glen Hayes. And that's your BasketballFridayNight.com scoreboard update. Right now, let's go back to the phones. Coach Mike DePasquale joins us now. He is part of the Hometown Invitational Tournament as well. Coach, first off, good to have you back this year.
Yeah, I haven't been able to call in any this year, guys. I've been kind of busy on Friday nights. It's our years to play, and where we play our games that we don't have cell phone service on the way home.
Hey, I understand that is still one of our little technological issues. That's a state issue, not anybody's fault. But we're getting there. We're getting there.
A lot of mountains to climb in the Potomac Valley.
Exactly.
We're working on the Basketball Friday Night satellite dish that we just hover over the area of West Virginia. It just allows everybody to connect from that. It's still in the works.
Yeah, we put in.
That'd be great.
We need
to get that started.
Absolutely. Hey, what has got started is the Hometown Invitational Tournament. I know you're a big part of it. And that tournament has, traditionally, it seems like it's what helps bring snow to this mountain state because, unfortunately, it's played a factor in the past, but able to get a lot of those games in over the course of the past week.
Yeah, we're actually getting ready to do our championship weekend tomorrow at Cameron, and we've had every game got played in the preliminary rounds with the exception of my game against Valley Fayette. Valley Fayette was unable to make the trip a couple weeks ago to Mill Creek. And unfortunately, my club was unable to travel to Cameron this weekend to play our game tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning as well as Valley Fayette. So, you know, as big as I am in this, I'm the one that doesn't even get to coach a game tomorrow.
That's unfortunately how it goes. But, again, I love this tournament. I love the idea of it. You know, it brings schools from all across the state. You get those non-traditional matchups. I mean, you know, we had on the boys' side, for instance, we had that Sherman-South Harrison game was 70-69. I mean, great ball game tonight. 1-point win there for Sherman. We've also had, you know, Buffalo playing Valley Wetzel tonight. Those teams wouldn't have played each other normally, and it's an opportunity to get out and to see a lot of West Virginia. Obviously, you need good weather to be able to pull it off. But, again, I think this tournament brings a whole lot of what its goal is, and that is small-town high schools together to play each other.
Yeah, you know, you're talking about non-traditional matchups. Our boys are going to play Greenbrier West tomorrow in their second-round game in the HIT. You know, that's a long trip. They're going to play Greenbrier West today. I believe West went up and played at Cameron last night. They spent the night in Fairmont and was going to play today, and due to weather, they were not able to play that game today. So West made the long trip down back to Roncevert, and then they're coming back up tomorrow to play in Mill Creek. So a lot of non-traditional matchups there. Tomorrow we've got a good day of basketball at Cameron. We're starting first games at 12:30 with Van versus Hayden City. And then our championship games will wrap up. The 545 Division II championship game is Valley Wetzel versus Meadow Bridge, and that's another, you know, two schools about as far as you can get from each other in single A. And then the Division I championship games at 7:45 with St. Mary's and Clay Battelle.
Well, Coach, again, Mike DePasquale, who is the head coach of the Tigers Valley girls basketball team. And, you know, being in the Potomac Highlands, where you are there at Mill Creek, and that, again, weather there tends to be some of the most difficult to get in the state. You know, obviously, I think a school such as, and again, I know I'm moving over a little bit here in the state, but like Tucker County, for instance, where it's located on top of the mountain there above Parsons, makes it difficult to get games in the snow. But the mountainous areas of West Virginia, it's tough every year. But do you ever get used to that, or is that something that you just continue to kind of fight?
It's something we just get used to. You know, you talk about how high Tucker County is. When I was with Bob Sheets and Pocahontas County boys, I've been on the bus where Bob's walked the bus halfway down Backbone Mountain, leaving Tucker County because it was so foggy you couldn't see anything. You know, it's just one of those things. You get used to the snow, you do what you got to do, and we end up playing 3 games in a row and 4 games in a week at times, just because we got to get games in. We got to do it when weather's good.
And of course, you know, Route 250 goes right through Mill Creek, and just because it's a good road there south of Elkins doesn't necessarily mean it's still easy to get to. And I think anybody knows that that area is more known for the skiing, not too far away there in that region of the state. But basketball can be hard to get in. But let's talk about your girls' basketball team for a little bit here while we've got you with us. Tigers Valley, of course. We haven't got to check in with you. Unfortunately, this season, as you mentioned, cell phone service can be an issue still throughout the Mountain State. But just tell me a little bit about your ball club this year.
You know, right now we're 3-11. We're down this year. we played our first home game on Friday for the first time in a month, or was not Friday. What day was that? Wednesday. We hadn't played a home game since last week, or the 18th of December. You talk about traveling issues. We're 0-10 right now on the road, if that tells you about our traveling issues we've been dealing with. We've played pretty well at home. Biggest problem we have this year is depth. We're dressing six, 7 girls, 8 girls on a good night, 8 girls. We're really only playing 6 though. Depth got a bigger issue last Thursday. We went up to Union. Our leading scorer, Caitlin Murphy, went out for the year with a knee injury. So, we're missing her 18 points a game right now. We got a nice rebound win Wednesday night against Pendleton County, and we went over there a week ago, got beat by 20. Beat them at our place last night, or on Wednesday night, I should say, by 13. Had a good win there. We're a senior-laden team this year, but a young senior-laden team, because I've had the years past, these girls have been on the varsity, but they haven't got much playing time because I had sophomores and juniors ahead of them in other classes. So, hopefully we're looking at this year, next year being down, and then I got some very talented middle school girls coming up in the next couple of years. Both our middle school programs are doing very well right now. My 7th grade team lost for the first time the other night. My 8th grade team only has 3 losses, so here in the next couple years, hopefully we're going to get reloaded and get things turned around. It's difficult for our girls right now because they're not used to losing this many ball games. So,
well, hey, understandable, Coach. And we always appreciate the opportunity to talk with you. It's been a while, and good to catch up with you. And hopefully we'll get to hear from you again a little bit later on in this season.
Yeah, we got a whole bunch of home games on Fridays now. We actually have cell phone service in Mill Creek. The rest of the PVC doesn't, but Mill Creek does. So hopefully I'll be able to give you guys a call here the next couple of Fridays, and we'll be able to talk some more.
Hey, sounds good, Coach. Thank you very much.
All right, see you guys later.
All right, that's Coach Mike DePasquale, the Tigris Valley Bulldogs girls basketball team. We've got to step aside and take a break. When we come back, we'll go back to the phone lines. We'll talk with Brian Johnson, WCEF, Ripley, and George Washington. We'll talk about that ball game tonight, and we'll have much more as Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia rolls on here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
If you love basketball, then there's only one place to be. It's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. A shout out to all the folks on Twitter sending us scores, corresponding with us. Thank you so much for that, including Coach Eddie, Coach Andrew Naz, Bill Cornwell, Hank Larch, John, Ivan Fox, Buddy Forbes, Tina, John, Key Player Nation in every game in RSN Sports. Join us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. We want you to become part of the show and part of the Basketball Friday Night family. We want to welcome new affiliate tonight, 91.5 FM, WRSG in Middleburg. Also, lots of places that you can listen to the show, including 106.7 FM, WHFI in Linside, 101.9 FM, WVOW Logan, 90.7 FM WFGH in Fort Gay, 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM WQAZLP Edmond Beckley, 101.7 FM WYPLP Clay, 88.1 FM WMUL in Huntington, Power 92 Radio, 92.3 FM WYRCLP in Spencer, and 97.9 FM WSBWLP in Parkersburg. If you're a cable subscriber, you can check us out. Comcast, Channel 25. Armstrong Cable Digital, Channel 204. Online at basketballnight.com. Basketballnight.com. There's a live video feed there and also an audio stream you can use with any computer or mobile device. Basketball, Friday night in West Virginia.
Stay up to date on your favorite teams. Check out basketballnight.com. Now, back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with Coach Rick Marone, James Collier, and Ryan Epling.
9:49 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. We'll get back to the phones in just a moment with Brian Johnson, WCEF. He had the Ripley George Washington game. We'll talk with him in just a moment. Before we get any further, though, Andrew Harrison is a student at Marshall University with WMUL FM radio. He joins us now, and we have our standout athlete of the week this week is Elijah Cuffey from Poca, a sophomore guard with the Dots. And Andrew, you've been digging a little bit more into his background.
Yeah, this is a young kid who works with young individuals in the Poca community with his older brother Jason and his dad, and that's something that he's been doing for the last several years for the majority of his life, and it's something that his brother Jason reiterated to me is something that's very important to him and that he's trying to continue to do for years to come.
Well, that Poca basketball team, undefeated. Again, it's a AA team that many consider perhaps the best in the state regardless of class. But when it comes down to toughening them up, you may be familiar with the Frampton brothers who play there, Noah and Luke Frampton, who are there right now. Elijah Cuffey's older brother Jason was a standout with the Dots as well, both football and basketball, had a college scholarship for basketball as well. And those one-on-one battles a little bit, sometimes a big brother can toughen up little brother a little bit.
Yeah, well, Jason told me, in recent years he's found out with his younger brother growing up, it's becoming harder. He's not able to use his age and his body to dominate in one-on-one battles as he was able to do in earlier years. Now, as the years go on, he says in the next couple of years he might not be able to beat Elijah, but he said he might stop playing then. But but he said he wanted to reiterate, though, to us that he still wins the battles now, but he said in the coming years he doesn't know.
All right. Hey, Andrew, we appreciate you doing that for us tonight. That will become a weekly segment. Andrew Harrison, always a pleasure to get to learn about some of these guys throughout the state of West Virginia, and good to have you on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
All right. Thank you for having me.
All right. And right now let's go right back to the phone lines to Brian Johnson, WCEF. He had the Ripley George Washington game tonight. And Brian, the Ripley Vikings have been scoring more of late and have been playing a little bit better. And tell me about that ball game tonight with George Washington.
Well, they came in tonight with a 3-game winning streak, their second 3-game winning streak of the season, and had high hopes of snapping a really embarrassing 25-game losing streak that we have to the Patriots. We're unable to do so tonight, but I think more than anything, the Vikings walk away from this game feeling like they can compete with George Washington, a team that they know if they want to get out of their section, that's a team they're going to have to contend with. And, the majority of the night, the final score, not really as indicative maybe as how close this game was. It was a 1 or 2 possession game for the majority of the night. And, Jonah Cosby tonight for George Washington was just phenomenal. 28 points, adding with 5 rebounds, 4 assists, a couple of blocks, handful of steals. And he was an athlete on the floor that the Vikings really did not have an answer for.
And I have to ask, Brian, we actually haven't been able to track down that final. What was the final score tonight?
It was 71-63, George Washington final. The Vikings led at the end of the first, and George Washington had a really big second period and got out to a 6-7 point lead, and that lead pretty much held at that point for most of the game. The Vikings cut it to 4, I believe, twice. George Washington pushed it back out to 10-12 a couple of times, and majority of the night it was a 7-8 point basketball game.
Well, it sounds like it was a good ball game. Again, Ripley still learning. That's still a learning process for the Vikings, but there are going to be bumps, peaks, and valleys along the way. And tonight they were almost there, but not quite where they wanted to be. But I know they're making strides, Brian.
Oh, they certainly are. And they're young. I mean, we got to remember Jamison Hunt's a sophomore, Chase Johnson's a sophomore, Luke Leahy's a junior. We got a lot of young sophomores coming in playing big minutes. And these are games and experiences that will certainly benefit the Vikings as they head toward postseason play. And it was a downer for sure, but I think our kids walk away feeling like they can certainly compete with this team anyway.
Brian, always appreciated. And Ripley coming up the schedule, obviously, MSAC-wise, never easy. Tuesday night, a trip to Capital, home game next Thursday with Riverside, and then a game with the West Side Renegades coming up a little over a week. So still, no easy nights for Ripley.
No, there sure aren't, and this is sectional stretch for the Vikings as they play, as you said, Capital, Riverside, and George Washington all back to back. So certainly a couple of measuring stick games for the Vikings, and will be great experience. And if they're able to pick one of those games off, it'll go a long way for them down the stretch as they head towards sectional play.
Brian Johnson, WCEF, always a pleasure.
Thanks, guys.
All right, and moving right along tonight, the Tug Valley Panthers get a win in the Huntington Invitational. They beat Fairland tonight. Wolfpack Willie is on the phone with us from down in Mingo County. Wolfpack Willie joins us now on the program, and Tug Valley, a good win over Fairland, Ohio tonight.
Oh, yes, 61-51.
61-51 the final. The Panthers get the win. Good win, and that ball comes now ranked 10th.
They play tomorrow night down there at 8:30. Huntington St. Joe.
St. Joe, a team that is trying to kind of find its way through single A right now. They've had some injuries earlier in the year that have they haven't one of their star players, Keith Clemens, out for the year, but Tug Valley with an impressive win. But what else going on down in Mingo County to talk about tonight, Wolfpack?
That's about all.
All right. Hey, always a pleasure talking with you, and we always look forward to hearing from you.
Okay.
All right. You have a good weekend.
I will. You too.
All right.
Bye.
Always appreciate it. That's Wolfpack Willie, and we'll go back to the phones in just a moment. But while we've got a couple of minutes here before the 10 o'clock hour, again, fastest 3 hours in radio. That's what Basketball Friday Night is. We're almost a full hour in now. This show, for the most part, goes, we use social media to be able to promote not only the show, but to, be able to build relationships throughout the state of West Virginia, where we're able to make contacts with people and be able to talk with them. And so, we don't necessarily make phone calls as much now. We just send a text or tweet. That's kind of how this generation operates. But I just remember something that I thought really put everything into perspective. I was talking with I was tweeting with Dave Morrison and Rick Kozlowski earlier this week, and Wes Eddy also, who's now the new head football coach at Princeton, who will be leaving Webster County to do so. And one thing that I think that Coach Eddy mentioned that really stood out to me was he's a dedicated listener to our program. We certainly appreciate that. He's somebody I actually got to talk to a little bit a few years ago. He called me asking about a football job, what my opinion was on it, and that kind of caught me off guard. But it was good to hear from him, and definitely good talking with him about that. But he brought up that one of the things that he enjoyed about this program was that there was a lighter side and there was a lot of laughter involved with this show, and that was what made it a little bit of fun. And Rick Kozlowski followed up with, well, it's sports. It's not life or death, and it should be fun. And that's something that I think is very important to keep in perspective, that this is fun. It's a celebration of basketball. It's why we do it. It's why the kids play. It's why the coaches coach. It's why the officials officiate. And definitely something that sometimes I know if you go to ball games, and our resident referee can attest, people will yell at him. They'll get a little bit carried away. Sometimes at officials, at coaches or whatnot, when they get upset, and that's completely understandable in the moment. But a lot of times you get to step back and step back away from it, and you figure out that it's kids that are playing basketball, and we're just getting to enjoy it with them. And Bo, you're just there to keep order, obviously, but it's fun. That's the end of the day. It's about having fun. The sport is fun. It's not life or death.
Well, definitely, and I certainly wouldn't have lasted for 32 years so far if it wasn't fun. Yes, everybody, players have games where they're miserable, coaches have games where they're miserable, and officials have games where they're miserable. And, not every game is going to be fun. It ends up being a story at the end usually. It's just one of those things where, you just have to like it. You have to like it to really play the game. You have to like it to be a better player. You have to like it to be a better coach. And you definitely have to like it to be a better official. And, people have no idea. Like right now, here we go with the weather. And you know what? The one thing that happens, they can't get officials whenever they change that schedule.
Yeah, that's definitely something to keep in mind. And another thing to keep in mind, too, when the snow falls, everybody seems to kind of get the winter blues a little bit, but basketball is one of those things that can help us break out of that and get back to just enjoying the little things in life. We'll talk with John Blackmore. He had the Martins Ferry Wheeling Central game. When we come back, we'll also have another check of the scoreboard for you. Was basketball Friday night in West Virginia continues 1 hour down here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
A big thank you to all of our affiliates and new affiliate 91.5 FM WRSG in Middleburn. Big thank you to Greg Goodfellow and Scott Northcraft for getting us on the air there tonight. Also, thanks to 106.7 FM WHFI in Linside, 101.9 FM and 1290 AM WVOW in Logan, 90.7 FM WFGH Fort Gay, 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM WQAZLP in Edmond, Beckley, 101.7 FM WYAPLP Clay, 88.1 FM WMUL in Huntington, Power 92 Radio, 92.3 FM WYRCLP in Spencer, 97.9 FM WSPWLP in Parkersburg. Those are all the stations where you can hear Basketball Friday night in West Virginia every Friday night from 9 to midnight. If you want to watch, we're on Comcast Channel 25, Armstrong Cable Digital Channel 204. Go to basketballnight.com and you can watch there also. A high-definition video feed. You can listen online with any computer or mobile device. Go to basketballnight.com and click on Listen Live. For scores online, all of them, visit basketballnight.com. We've got them all. And we also want you to interact with us. You got a score that you haven't heard us talk about? Send us a tweet at @hoops_roundup, at @hoops_roundup. We want you to become part of the show. If you love basketball, then there's only one place to be. It's Basketball Friday night in West Virginia.
This is Basketball Friday night in West Virginia, heard statewide on great radio stations. Visit basketballnight.com to find the station nearest you. Get all the scores all the time at basketballnight.com or on Twitter at @hoops_roundup. Now, back to Basketball Friday night in West Virginia with James Collier, Rick Marone, Rudy Raines, and Ryan Epling.
10:02 on this Basketball Friday night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling, James Collier, Braxton Crisp, and Bo Anderson are all with you here tonight. And of course, we appreciate Andrew Harrison joining us. And again, we're working on adding that into our Standout Athlete of the Week segment as well. And we'll talk with John Blackmore. He had the Martins Ferry Wheeling Central game. He also saw some games earlier this week. We'll talk with him in just a moment. But first, we'll turn it over to James Collier for a check of the basketballnight.com scoreboard.
Looking for scores? Look no more. Often imitated, never duplicated. Go to basketballnight.com for a check of all your scores from around the Mountain State. We'll start first on the boys' side in Class AAA. Number 1, South Charleston with an 80-47 win over St. Albans. Brandon Napper nets his 1,000th career point. At the half, number 2, Woodrow Wilson leads Washington 28-12. Number 3, Morgantown over University 63-47. That's a final. Number 4, Park South gets past Princeton 83-76, a 30-point win for the Highlanders as the number 5 Huntington Highlanders knock off Nitro 78-48. Number 7, Greenbrier East over Hampshire 80-64, a 9-point win by number 10 Wheeling Park over Steubenville, Ohio 58-49. Brooke and John Marshall, that game has been postponed to February 18th. Cabell Midland falls to Spring Valley, 85-63. Greg Herbert knocks in his 1,000th point. He also has 25 in the win. Jacob Kilgore has 28. Colton Tilley and Coy Pettit each with 17 for the Knights in the losing effort. George Washington over Ripley, 71-63. That snaps a 3-game winning streak for the Vikings. Sharnado, Virginia. Sharando, excuse me.
Sharknado,
Sharando, something like that. Sharando. Oh my goodness. They win over Hedgesville, 51-35. Hurricane with a 1-point win over Winfield in overtime, 76-75. Jefferson over Spring Mills, 56-45. And Martinsburg defeats Shady Springs, 57-49. In Class AA, the Polka Dots put it all over Herbert Hoover, 63-23 your final. Number 4, West Side and Independence. That game was canceled due to weather. Number 7, Scott over number 10, Sissonville, 63-49. Number 9, Ravenswood and St. Mary's is on hold till February 12th. Petersburg over Frankfort, 74-32. Pikeview and Summers County will try it again tomorrow. Indian Creek over Weir, 78-25. Class Single A, number 1, Wheeling Central over Martins Ferry Purple Riders, 85-66. Number 3, Greater Beckley with a 22-point win over Trinity Christian, 64-42. Williamstown by 40 over Parkersburg Catholic, 88-48. Number 9, Valley Fayette and Payton City will try it again on February 4th. A 10-point win for the number 10 in Class Single A. Tug Valley over Fairland, 61-51. Valley Wetzel defeats Buffalo, 78-65. Moorfield over East Hardy by 2, 63-61. A 1-point win for the Sherman Tide. They knock off the South Harrison Hawks, 70-69. The final score on the boys' side, Wahama over Eastern Eagles out of Ohio, 77-64. Let's go to the girls' scoreboard now. Number 2 out of Class Single A, St. Joe knocks off number 7 Class AAA Hurricane, 56-52. Number 10 in Class AA defeats number 10 in Class AAA, 53-43. That was Bridgeport over Buchanan Upshur. In Class AA, number 1 Wyoming East defeats Brooke, 72-42. Gabby Lapardis with another triple-double, 15 points, 11 boards, 10 assists. That's the second one this week. Number 3 Fairmont Senior over Liberty Harrison by 40, 66-22. Check that was by 44. Number 6 Kaiser defeats Hampshire, 67-50. Clay County and Calhoun County was canceled. Mingo Central over Tug Valley, 58-34. Tulsa, Rick Barone's Tulsa Lady Rebels with a nice win over the Scott Skyhawks, 69-43. That's a check of your basketballnight.com scoreboard.
Thank you very much, James. And John Blackmore was so kind to hold with us through the break. He's with us now. Wheeling Central tonight picks up a win over the Purple Raiders of Martins Ferry, Ohio. And John, this ball club now, Wheeling Central, 13-2 on the season, and looking really strong at the moment.
Yeah, and it's the Martins Ferry Purple Riders.
Riders, sorry, yes.
That's all right. Half their team goes to Mount Union and becomes Purple Raiders, so that's actually okay. and kudos for the Sharknado reference. If you can get an airplane reference in this call, you guys make my top 10 list of the week.
Surely you're not talking about Shirley.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Yeah, never call me Shirley. Yeah, and if you want a swimming update, I've got 4 hours of swimming tomorrow for the OBAC Championships. If you want to do a swimming show on Saturday night, I'd be happy to call in.
Hey, you can bring that on the back side of the show. We'll do a backstroke in the 11:30 hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Is this guy Rick Kozlowski? This segment is going south quickly.
Yeah. Rick's been replaced.
You guys can work for WKKX, I promise. Wheeling Central's rolling, boys. I mean, it's getting scary actually. It's getting to the point where last year, I kept thinking, how do they replace Alonzo Manns and David Park, and where do they get the guys off the bench? And tonight a freshman comes in, and Owen Gaynor, and just plays fantastic as a freshman. I mean, you don't expect a whole lot, but scores a few buckets, creates a steal. dumped some things, and we haven't even talked about Chase Harler. I mean, Martins Ferry is a team who went to the Ohio regional finals, which is a step further than you would be in West Virginia in the regionals. You're down to the final 16 there. And they only lost one kid. That was Robert Vargo. He's actually a football player at OD now. And that's all they lost. And Emilio Apolloni is about 6'7", and is big as a force in the OVAC, and a bigger school, Martins Ferry. It's a 4A within our own conference. Wheeling Central would be a 2A in the conference. And he was having his way. He had about 17 points in the first half. And Coach Stevens made some great adjustments, and Harler went one-on-one with him, and Harler gives up about 4.5, 5 inches to the kid, and just absolutely locked him down. John Burkhalter, who was kind of sharpshooter at kind of ace him and Boyd Bybee, he started to hang out under the net. He's getting a ton of rebounds every game. They are. It's getting scary. I mean, Region 1, Section 1. I no disrespect to Greater Beckley Christian because I haven't seen them. But, man, they could get 2 teams out of this, and if they don't play early, they may play late in Charleston with Magnolia and Bishop Donahue.
Absolutely. And speaking of Magnolia, I mean, Wheeling Central just kind of went through a wrecking stage this week. I mean, they beat Magnolia by 20 in New Martinsville on
and that game wasn't that close. That wasn't that close.
That's impressive.
Preston Boswell is an amazing basketball player. He's got handles. I told you, like the professor, he can play. And they always play their best game against Magnolia. And they're getting better. They go up and they lose to Bishop Donahue. I mean, Bishop Donahue is a team who lost Chase Truax to St. John Central, puts up 40 points a game, and take him out of the equation. Well, Padlow and Strawn and Miller and Klee, and they just reload. And Bishop Donahue is one of those teams where they have the kids. The interesting thing about this whole area is where are the kids going to go from 8th grade into high school? And it doesn't matter if you're a public school or a private school in the Northern Panhandle. I mean, I could sit here and rattle off, Cameron's playing great, but there are 3 kids at Cameron who, one was in 8th grade when he moves in, 2 are from Moundsville that drive all the way to Cameron, which is like taking the Beast at Kings Island for 20 minutes to get there through the county. So it's not just there's a St. Michael's kid playing at Wheeling Park who could have went to Wheeling Central. There's a Wheeling Central kid that could have gone to John Marshall. There's the 2 kids at Cameron that drive past John Marshall to go to Cameron. It doesn't matter up here. Once you get to the 8th grade, all these kids play in so many different travel teams, whether it's in Pittsburgh or whether it's in Fairmont or the Wildcats, the Togs. It doesn't matter. And right now all of those programs are paying off because Wheeling Park is just a team that can play well too, and they're they don't have Ryan Reinbu right now, and they're winning basketball games. So this whole Upper Panhandle right now is starting to hit its stride, and Region 1, Section 1 is just you're walking through a minefield with Cameron, Madonna, Bishop Donahue, Magnolia, and Wheeling Central. It's a minefield.
Always good games through there every time out. John Blackmore, we definitely appreciate your time tonight.
Not a problem, guys. We'll have plenty of games for you next week.
All right, sounds good, and we'll see if we can come up with some more references for John for next week as well. We made him the Rick Kozlowski of the Northern Panhandle now.
Well, and we needed that because the cause is out tonight. He's at a concert, so
yeah, of course.
I mean, and it worked out well because
the life of a rock star.
Yeah, he is a rock star.
Yeah, we're going to stay right on the phone lines though. We could actually decompress after that call, but we don't have time because this is Basketball Friday night, and we just keep right on rolling. Greg Herbert joins us now. He joined the 1,000-point club in tonight's Spring Valley win over Cabell Midland. Greg, welcome to Basketball Friday night in West Virginia.
Welcome.
Hey, nice.
How you guys doing?
Hey, we're doing great. Nice ball game tonight. A big win for your club. Bouncing back after a tough outing earlier this week. Go from one game where the other team basically everything they shoot goes in that loss at Hurricane to where you guys fill up the nets tonight.
Yeah, we knew after that big loss we had to come out and show everybody that we weren't that bad.
Greg, tonight you had the opportunity to reach the milestone of 1,000 points, and it took you 7 seconds into the basketball game to knock down the jumper on the baseline. Walk me through the shot when the basketball touched your hands. Did you know it was good from that point? And then the emotions that you had of getting the standing ovation from everyone there.
Well, it was right off the tip. We've been practicing running fast breaks off the tip. We have a tip play. I just happened to cut across the middle, and I was wide open and shot it. And I felt a little weird that it was 7 seconds into the game. I thought it was going to take a little bit longer, but it felt really good. And then whenever they stopped the game, it was loud. It was pretty exciting.
Greg, you've got a difficult week coming up, and it's been no rest for the weary for this Spring Valley team. Matchups with Huntington and South Charleston next week. How big is it to come off going into those games off a nice win over Midland, get a chance to rest your legs up, get ready for that, to where you only play 2 games in a week, not 3 or 4?
Yeah, it's important to rest, but we got to get back. I mean, our defense was not as good as it should have been tonight. We still got to work on our defense. We're going to come back in tomorrow, work on defense, and Monday, because our defense has to be a lot better to beat Huntington or South Charleston.
Well, Greg, we definitely appreciate you getting to talk with you. Not you getting to talk with us. That's not your appreciation. That's our appreciation. We definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, that's Greg Herbert of the Spring Valley Timberwolves. As again, he joined the 1,000-point mark tonight. We're going to take a break in just a second here, but first, Coach Marone's still with us. And we don't want to lose track of Coach Marone. We can't see him, so sometimes he's just kind of lurking in the shadows with us tonight.
Rick, you've never looked better in your life.
You know, they tell me that he's here, that he's still with us. And then we talk to him, and he doesn't respond.
He's probably stepped out to grab a bite to eat.
Yeah, the hospitality room at Tulsa High School.
I've heard about it. I heard it's pretty top notch.
Southern Wayne County home cooking now.
And we know that if there's food, Marone will be near.
Yeah, and as Bo can tell you, Northern Wayne County home cooking is good too.
Oh, absolutely. You know, it's tough to referee a game if you go to the hospitality room.
I think that's why Bo always wants to call the Lady Rebel.
This cat could figure out a way to do it if he needed to, without a doubt.
Hey, I'm probably one of the only officials that can eat and still work the game. Most of the rest of them are too nervous, not me. Didn't do it too long.
You jog the court with a soda in your hand and everything.
Hey, I'll tell you what, whatever it takes.
Hey, we saw the video, or it went viral, the official at a middle school game on a cell phone during a game, running up and down the floor, talking on the phone. I don't think you will not see Bo Anderson do that. I promise.
No, but I did hear about a tweet that came out of something that sounded like it was something he said during a game. I'll save that for later on tonight, though.
Yeah, that's our nugget. We're going to save that for you. We'll get to that in a moment. We'll also get back to the phone lines and another check of the scoreboard coming up in about 15 minutes. But we'll get back to the phone lines after this break. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
If you love basketball, then there's only one place to be. It's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Big shout out to the folks sending us scores on Twitter, including Bill Cornwell, Hank Large, John, Ivan Fox, Buddy Forbes, Tina, Key Player Nation, and in every game. Join us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. High school basketball action in West Virginia is heating up as the teams focus on a trip to the state championship in Charleston. Stay up to date with your local team and its progress all season long with Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia for 3 hours every Friday night from 9 to midnight. Listen online or on great radio stations throughout the Mountain State, including our newest affiliate, 91.5 FM WRSG in Middleburn. You'll hear sports writers, broadcasters, coaches, players, and your calls recapping your team's game. Visit basketballnight.com for more details on how you can be part of the show. Follow us on Twitter @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. It's your one-stop shop for all things in West Virginia high school basketball. Once again, we want to thank all the people sending us in scores tonight and all our affiliates. broadcasting basketball Friday night and making it possible for you to hear basketball Friday night throughout West Virginia. Become part of the show. Call us toll-free, 855-345-4709. 855-345-4709. Tweet us at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. It's basketball Friday night in West Virginia.
Stay up to date on your favorite teams. Check out basketballnight.com. Now, back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with Coach Rick Marone, James Collier, and Ryan Epling.
10-19 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling along with you, James Collier, Braxton Crisp, Bo Anderson, all in studio tonight. Rick Marone, also the floating anonymous member of the Basketball Friday Night crew tonight. And we'll have him back as well in a moment. The Kaiser Golden Tornado girls team, though, picked up a big win tonight, 67-50 over Hampshire. Kyle Moon, WVSB there. And Kyle, a nice win tonight for Kaiser and a difficult loss for Hampshire.
Yeah, it was. And despite the score, it was a 17-point win, but the game was actually very, very close. In the third quarter, Hampshire was down by 9 or 10 at halftime, but in the third quarter, it was tied at 42. But in the fourth quarter, things just got out of hand for Hampshire. They just couldn't keep up. And the big problem, the big struggle for Hampshire, is they were way outsized. Kaiser is much taller. The tallest person they have on the team for Hampshire is Erica Gordon, the center, and she tried her best tonight. She was trying, but she got a lot of fouls on her. And their other second tallest player, Tori Veach, ended up being fouled out before the end of the game. They really just, the size of Kaiser, they just got every rebound, defensively and offensively. And Hampshire couldn't get down low to shoot anything. They couldn't get any points inside. They had to shoot all the outside shots and just didn't have a good night in the fourth quarter. Third quarter, though, honestly, it's one of the best games Hampshire's played overall. But Kaiser's just a very good team.
I was getting ready to ask. Hampshire now 5-8. Kaiser now 14-1. And again, I know a lot of people throughout West Virginia do not get to see the Golden Tornado until state tournament time. They made it to the semifinal last year. We all kind of thought they were maybe underseeded by the coaches. That's something that they're battling. That was your opportunity to see Kaiser. Your opinion of the Golden Tornado?
I honestly thought, between their size and their shooting ability, I think they can go far this year again. This is the first time I've got to see them this year, but it wouldn't surprise me to see them make it just as far, if not farther, than last year, because they've got the size down low, but they can also make pretty much any open three-pointer if you try to cover them too much down low. That was another problem the girls had tonight for Hampshire. If they tried to double-team down low to cover up the height, they were still out of luck, because then Kaiser could make anything from the three-point line, too. They've got a very good variety there, and then their defense isn't as strong. I think that might end up being somewhat of a weak point for them, but overall, Kaiser's definitely a very good team.
Well, Kyle, we appreciate you taking time to talk with us, and we'll talk with you again next week.
All right, cool.
That's Kyle Moon, WVSB, and our correspondent from Romney, West Virginia. Hey, you know who had a big win? Was the Bluefield Beavers girls basketball team. They beat Summers County last night. Big win for the Beavers, and Coach Tony Malamachi is with us. And Coach, nice win for your ball club over Summers County, and I know that puts your team right in the thick of things to try to get out of Region 3 and try to get to Charleston this year.
Yeah, that was a big win for us. It gave us a lot of confidence, and we know we can play with anybody in our region after that game last night.
Your ball club, just 2 losses this year. again, but I think maybe one of those kind of hidden gems. The boys team, for its success the last couple of years, people know about them throughout West Virginia, but this girls team's quietly put together a very, very good season to this point.
Yeah, we lost the first game of the year to Pikeview by 2 points. I think we was 13 for 30-something from the foul line. And then our other loss was to Greenbrier East, and we had I think it was a 15-point lead in the first quarter, and then it just kind of went downhill after that. So yeah, we have a pretty good season going. I thought we had a pretty good team last year, but for some reason, and maybe it's because of the boys' success, that we kind of go unnoticed sometimes. We got to the regionals last year, and Summers County beat us in a pretty close game. I think it was by 7. So we for some reason we do go kind of under the radar, but we have a pretty good squad this year.
Would you rather fly under the radar a little bit and get to Charleston, or would you rather have that bullseye on your back from the beginning? Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
People can figure out how good you are sometime during the game instead of beforehand.
Coach, how important is it right now as we start to wind down? It's hard to believe that we're saying this, but we're a month left in the regular season. How important is it that you start picking up those big wins and getting the momentum moving forward as you start towards sectionals and trying to make a trip to Charleston?
Yes, it's the right time. This is the time of the year you try to start peaking, and we finish up. I mean, we had this week alone we had James Monroe, a tough team, another team under the radar. Of course, Summers County. We got Pikeview tomorrow. We have Richlands Monday, and then the last week of the season we have Greenbrier East and Summers County. So it's a good, those are good, tough games to get you ready going into the tournament. And I feel like we're starting to improve and starting to peak a little bit. So hopefully we'll, time it just right, for the tournament.
Well, I had a chance to see the Beavers a year ago in Huntington against Tulsa. I actually called that game on the Fast Break Sports Network, and you could really see that there were some pieces there. I really saw that last year, and it seems like this year they've kind of been able to gel a little bit together. It's all about just that team making that next step forward for the program.
Yeah, really, it's pretty much a new group. I think we graduated 3 players who played a lot. We had one transfer to St. Joe's, our starting point guard, who would have been a junior this year. And so we got 2 freshmen playing a lot. We got 2 seniors playing quite a bit, and a junior and a sophomore is playing quite a bit. So it's pretty much really a different team than you saw last year. But we have good team chemistry, and we're playing very well together.
Well, Coach, again, you've got a big matchup with Pikeview tomorrow. And then, as you mentioned, games came up with Richlands and so on throughout the course of the season. The Bluefield Beavers girls basketball team, though, I know you want to keep them off the radar a little bit for now, but that's a team that you can't hide after you beat Summers County. So congratulations on that.
I guess that kind of lets the cat out of the bag.
That's a good cat to let out of the bag, Coach.
Yeah. Hey, Coach, congratulations on that win and on a very good run so far, and hope to catch up with you a little bit later on in this season as well.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, Tony Malamachi, he's the head coach of the Bluefield Beavers girls basketball team. Again, they're having a good year as well. And right now, we're up against it a little bit, so let's just go ahead and take a break. We'll come back. We'll do a quick scoreboard, and then we'll hear from Dave Morrison, ESPN Radio in Hinton, and then we'll also talk with T.G. Griffith, WYAP in Clay County. I'll tell you, that Clay County girls team, again, talk about flying under the radar. There are some good teams out there that might come out of nowhere, but then there's still a really good team that's already at the top of the pack.
Yeah,
right
I'm looking forward to the girls' side of the state tournament because, like you said, there's so many teams. It's just kind of hovering. We know what's out there because we get to cover this every single week, but there's a lot of teams that in that AA ranking in the single A ranking that has that opportunity. AA, mark my word, that's going to be the exciting bracket this year in the state championship. On the boys' side, we pretty much know what that is. I think AAA has an opportunity to really explode. There's so many teams out there this year in AAA that can really make a run at things. But keep an eye on that AA. Buy a ticket. You'll buy the whole seat. You'll only need the edge.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun for that as well. And we'll also have Coach Rick Marone. I believe we'll have him back as well in our next segment as Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia continues here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
For scores online, all of them, visit us at basketballnight.com. If you want to watch, you can go to basketballnight.com and watch the live streaming video feed. You can also click on Listen Live, and you can listen on any computer or mobile device. We're also on Comcast, Channel 25 in the Huntington area, and Armstrong Cable Digital, Channel 204. You can listen on great radio stations throughout the Tri-State, throughout the Mountain State, and all around. Check it out, 91.5 FM WRSG, Middleburg. 106.7 FM WHFI in Linside, 101.9 FM and 1290 AM WVOW in Logan, 90.7 FM WFGH Fort Gay, 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM WQAZLP Edmond Beckley, 101.7 FM WYAPLP Clay, 88.1 FM WMUL in Huntington, Power 92 Radio, 92.3 FM WIRCLP in Spencer, 97.9 FM WSPW LP in Parkersburg. You can find us here every Friday night, 9 to midnight. It's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Join us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, at @hoops_roundup. Big shout out to folks sending us tweets tonight with scores, including Uncle Ted, Jacob Staten, Bill Camp, Tim Carper, Easy Breezy, Holly Trinone, Jasmine Bauer, who is a new follower tonight. Thanks, Jasmine, for following us here at Basketball Friday Night, at @hoops_roundup, at @hoops_roundup.
Celebrating high school basketball around the Mountain State, you're listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to your hosts, James Collier, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
10:31 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling, James Collier, Braxton Crisp, Bo Anderson, our resident referee, all in studio. Rick Marone is with us from Tulsa High School. Coach Marone, we want to put you to work a little bit right now. What do you think?
Hey, I am ready, well rested, and ready to do my fair share of heavy lifting.
All right. With that said, after we're going to get to Dave Morrison with ESPN Radio, the ticket here in just a moment, and TG Griffith, WYAP, Clay County in a moment as well. But we're going to turn it over to Coach Marone for a check of your basketballnight.com scoreboard.
Looking for scores? Look no more. BasketballNight.com scoreboard update. In boys, Class AAA, South Charleston rolls over St. Albans 80-47. Brandon Napper gets his 1,000th point for the Black Eagles. Woodrow Wilson 56-36 winners over Washington. That's part of the Big Atlantic Classic in Beckley. Morgantown 63, University 37. Parkersburg South 83, Princeton 76. Huntington High 78-48 winners over Nitro. Greenbrier East gets a big win over Hampshire, 80-64. Wheeling Park, 58. Steubenville, 49. Cabell Midland, 63. They fall to Spring Valley. Spring Valley, 85. Cabell Midland, 63. Greg Herbert gets his 1,000th point tonight as he gets 25 for the Timberwolves. Ripley falls to GW at 71-63. George Washington. Sharando Warriors out of Virginia, 51-35 winners over Hedgesville. A final in overtime. Battle of Putnam County, Hurricane 76, Winfield 75. Jefferson 56, Spring Mills 45. Part of the Big Atlantic Classic, Martinsburg gets a 57-49 win over Shady Springs. In Class AA, the Polka Dots just continue to impress, 63-23 over Herbert Hoover. Scott gets a 63-49 win over Sissonville in Cardinal Conference play. Petersburg 74, Frankfort 32. Indian Creek out of Ohio 48-25 winners over the Weir Red Riders. Wheeling Central, the Maroon Knights, #1 in Class A, 85-66 winners over Martins Ferry. The Purple Riders gets our nickname award of the night out of Ohio. 64-42 Greater Beckley over Trinity. Williamstown 88, Parkersburg Catholic 48. Tug Valley, the Panthers get a 10-point win over Fairland, 61-51 Huntington Invitational. up and running all week down at the Civic Center. Get out and check out the action down there. Valley Wetzel 78, Buffalo 65. East Hardy falls to Moorfield 63-61. Moorfield Yellow Jackets get the win in that one. Sherman 70, South Harrison 69. The Hawks get their wings clipped by Sherman. That's part of the West Virginia Hit Tournament. Wahama gets a 77-64 win over Eastern out of Reedsville, Ohio. Let's turn the page to the girls' action tonight. St. Joe gets a 56-52 win over Hurricane. That game part of the Huntington Invitational. Bridgeport 53-43 winners over Buchanan Upshur. In AA, number 1 Wyoming East 72-42 over Brook. Gabby Lepardis 15 points, 11 boards, 10 assists. Her second triple-double this week for the Lady Warriors. Fairmont Senior absolutely rolls over Liberty Harrison 66-22. Kaiser, Coach Josh Blow's squad 67-50 winners over Hampshire. Mingo Central gets a 58-34 winner in girls basketball over Tug Valley. Tulsa gets a 69-43 win over Scott. Tasha Nichols, 16 points, 12 rebounds, 6 steals. And Mariah Finley, 9 points and 14 assists for the Lady Rebels. That's a look at your basketballnight.com scoreboard update.
Coach, thank you very much, Coach Marone. And I think our resident referee had a comment for you here real fast.
Well, I tell you what, I can tell that I wasn't working your game tonight because your voice sounds really good. So you must not have yelled at the officials too much tonight.
I will be honest with you, resident referee. I was not feeling the best in the world prior to the game, so I was somewhat medicated, and I think that may have been part of my rather demure attitude tonight. I got to come clean.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to remember that next time I have a game. I'll bring you some medication, and then that way I won't have to worry about you for the whole night. How about that?
It worked tonight.
Hey, the way your team played tonight, Coach.
Repeat and rinse and repeat, Coach. I would keep that going.
I tell you what, if I thought it would help, I would do whatever it takes. But, I was a little calm tonight, so I've got plenty of voice left for you guys.
Real quick, we put out a tweet a moment ago saying we're just close to getting 1,300 followers, and we have gotten follower number 1,300. That's at Corey Dreams. Actually, a guy I went to high school with. And a big thank you to him following us and keeping up with his alma mater, the Calvin Midland Knights.
Small world out there.
That's crazy to think. We were, I think, around 900 when the show started, season 2, and we're almost in a repeat of about 100 followers per week is what we've been adding, and we thank everybody that's become a part of the Basketball Night show as following us on social media, because, again, without all of the help that we get via social media, there's no way that we could get all these scores, and that's what we're here for.
Well, we're on a roll. You know who else is on a roll? The Lady Panthers from Clay County. They've won 10 straight games. Their game tonight was canceled, but T.G. Griffith, WYAP, with us now. And T.G., those Lady Panthers continue to be impressive.
Yep. Like you said, we're 14-2. We're 9-0 in LKC, and we did have a game. Calhoun didn't have school today, and that game was canceled. And I don't know. Now, the ladies don't play till next Friday. They travel to Webster County, so I don't know what Calhoun's schedule is, but they may be able to work out something there. But beginning with the Webster game, there are 6 straight road games to finish out the season, so it's going to be tough. But we're getting ready for tournament time, and that's part of the adversity you have to work through. But the girls are in good spirits, and they're looking forward to those games, whether they be home or on the road.
Well,
the boys went 2-0 this week. Just to throw that out there real quick, they won Tuesday Fayetteville. That was home, and then last night they beat a very good Calhoun County team, which was the Clay County High School's basketball homecoming. So, we'd like to get that final home game in and recognize all of our senior and support staff. And we only have 4 seniors this year, but they are the crux of the Lady Panthers.
Tell me about what's so competitive this year, especially in that AA section of girls basketball. Like you talked about, Clay County, just one of many teams that really seem to have a great opportunity to make a charge into Charleston and come away with a state title. Could this be the best classification for a state championship venue when we get to Charleston in March?
Yeah, I believe so. It's like you said, there's a lot of teams under the radar, and a lot of very good teams out there that just kind of muddling along and not making a big splash. And of course, that our regional's pretty tough too. You know, with Sissonville in there and Rick's bunch down at Tulsa, and it's going to be competitive. I can tell you that.
I'll tell you, we're still in January, barely, but we're still in January. We're all in the postseason mode right now.
We're ready to go in postseason mode.
Yeah.
It's like, when can March get here?
Well, you know, and like last year, we had the weather just threw the schedule all to helter-skelter. And but this year we've been playing when we're supposed to play, except tonight's been the one exception. So you know, but now we don't know what the weather's going to be like in February either. But usually by the end of February, things kind of calm down a little bit. And this is a time you need to be playing regularly and not having to scramble around here trying to make up games.
Well, TG, we don't look forward to the end of the season, but we just look forward to all these big games coming up in the postseason too. But we're enjoying these regular season big matchups as well. Always a pleasure to talk with you, and we're definitely following that Clay County girls team pretty close right now.
Okay, guys. Thank you.
All right. Always appreciated. You know, again, Clay County is a team that their only 2 losses this year were to Nicholas County, who's another under-the-radar, very good AA team. And the teams that are on the radar, Wyoming East, Summers County, who did lose, but to Bluefield, who's off the radar, but should be maybe on the radar. You know, this radar thing, we may need to come up with a radar list. Yeah.
I don't know if there's a big enough radar for Class AA.
Fairmont Senior is very good.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, we could put Wyoming East, we could put Summers County at the top of the list, but then you have 8 teams that get to go to Charleston. It would be hard to find just 6 teams that you could put in those other 2 spots. And again, crazy things can happen when you get into that divisional round. Somebody comes out, you have an injury, you have a team goes cold shooting. One of those 2 top teams we expect to be there, no doubt, may not make it. And then what does that really happen? It happened last year in Class AAA. That's what makes this venue so exciting as we make our march towards Charleston.
Tell you what, James, just to jump in there, you haven't even mentioned Kaiser. I mean, I think Kaiser, you talk about below the radar, they're one of the top-ranked teams. They returned 4 of their top 6 players off a team that was in the semifinals. And talking to Coach Blow earlier this year, they are really looking to make a serious run. They have depth, they have size, and they've got seasoning. And I'm not taking away from some of the other teams, but I'll tell you what, getting your feet on that Civic Center floor and making some good things happen. I think Kaiser, I don't want to call them a dark horse because they've been ranked all year, but where they're located, a lot of people are not familiar with them, so just throw them into the mix as well.
I'm just going to I'm going to do this very quickly, though. Wyoming East is 15-1. So is Ravenswood. We haven't talked about their girls team. They're 15-1. Kaiser's 14-1. North Marion is 13-1. Clay County, Fairmont Senior 14-2. Sissonville 13-2. Bluefield 11-2. Oak Glen. We haven't talked about Oak Glen. 13-3. Summers County 12-3. You see where we're going here. I'm well beyond the number of teams that can make the state tournament, and boy, that's just going to be a fun division. You know, Dave Morrison is with us, 102.3 The Ticket, ESPN Radio. Region 3 is known for its boys basketball and AA. It's known for its girls basketball as well. Seems like the depth is a little bit more within that region, and really in both boys and girls this year.
Well, that's indeed the case. Thanks for having me on, guys. I was going to do a Kozlowski impersonation, but I think I'll just let it go.
No, please, Dave. Please do it, Dave.
We have some weather here. We have drizzle here in southern West Virginia. That's the best I can do for you.
While keeping a straight face, of course, right?
Does he sound like Gallagher or what?
Well, first off, Dave, you're way too fast to speak like Koz. You got to slow it down.
You got to pace your words a little better. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I think speaking about medicated earlier, I think maybe that's the situation there. Of course, he's at Fleetwood Mac tonight, so who knows? Yeah, you got talking about the depth in AA. That's exactly the case. And another good team in this region is Pikeview. So you're looking at Summers County, obviously Wyoming East, Summers County, Bluefield, Pikeview. It's just, any of those teams probably good enough to go to the state tournament and represent the region well. I think Wyoming East obviously is head and shoulders above everyone, which is strange because they play 3 freshmen. And I think in today's game, they beat Brooke. I believe 3 freshmen had double figures. So,
yeah,
that being said, but Summers County, another team, and I heard your interview with Coach Malamucci, and that was just, I was at the game last night. That was a heck of an ending. The girl Essence Brown scored the game-winning basket with 3.9 seconds left. What was funny is Gia Coppola, another one of the players, got the rebound on a missed shot, got the rebound. She was on the ground, turned around and kind of handed it off like a quarterback to a running back, and Essence Brown just laid it in. Summers County calls a timeout. Off of the timeout, they had to go to the length of the floor. Whitney Justice dribbled about half court, unleashed a pass underneath the basket to Aubrey Taylor. She laid it in. The ball just missed getting out of her hand in time. It was a good call. It was just a split second later, it would have gone into overtime. So just a heck of a game there.
I think we're going to have a lot of postseason games that may come down to finishes just like that.
And the interesting thing about Summers County is they're doing this with basically 2 girls doing all the scoring. I know you guys have talked to Whitney and Brittany Justice last night. They had 44 of Summers County's 57 points. They had all but 6 points in the first half. They had all but 2 points of their 20 in the fourth quarter. So, as Wayne Ryan said, we had to find some scoring in other places.
I'll tell you what, Dave, Coach Marone here, and thanks for being on the show. Bluefield, again, they got a big win over Summers County, and their point guard that should have been there this year is not there. How dangerous would this team have been if they had the point guard there?
Bluefield?
Yes, Bluefield, the one that transferred out.
Right, yeah. I mean, you're talking about another player. That might be the one. Their post play is really great with Essence Brown. And they have a lot of different girls who are running to point, and that's probably why. But you add a true point guard into that lineup with the size and the athletic ability that they have, and I think you're probably talking about them being, definitely the number 2.
Oh, I agree.
And it's going to come down.
Yeah, Coach Malamucci had talked about that and said that that she had transferred out, but they're a good ball club anyway. I just think that would have, like you said, that may have put them over the top.
Sometimes that point guard play is so important, and we see that often on the boys' side of things. But you look at Gabby Lupardis, she runs the show for Wyoming East, and I think it's obvious that she's the reason they're where they are right now.
And she had her second triple-double of the week tonight.
No, I talked. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's just it's mind-boggling a freshman guard to come out and do that at the varsity level in such a competitive environment.
Right, and she's never backed down from the pressure since the day she started the season. I mean, I think, and I believe I tweeted something earlier this week. She's one of those players now where around this part of the state, if you say Gabby, people know who you're talking about. I think that's starting to expand on the state level, where she's probably going to, you say Gabby, and everybody's going to know who you're talking about.
Well, Dave, we always enjoy talking with you.
Very rare for a freshman.
Hey, yeah, you're right. When we say Dave, we're talking about you. That's how it works here.
Well, I still don't get music like Kozlowski, though.
Again, Rick enjoying the Fleetwood Mac concert tonight, unable to join us.
Was he going to get the drum solo? Will he get the drum solo?
How about an exit music for you, Dave? How's that? We couldn't get entrance.
Awesome, Zeppelin.
It's kind of like you're being played off the stage at an awards show right now. I believe. I think that's kind of how it's going.
Well, that sounds great. And Zeppelin, I like it.
Hey, there you go. Hey, Dave, always a pleasure. We always enjoy talking with you, buddy.
Hey, thanks, guys. You guys have a great evening.
Thanks, Dave. You too. That's Dave Morris of ESPN Radio. We're going to step aside and take a break. When we come back, we'll talk with Donald Butcher. We'll talk Tyler Consolidated Silver Knights. We've got a new member of the Basketball Friday Night family. We'll explain that when we come back here on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Join us every Friday night from 9 to midnight at the home of high school basketball in the Mountain State. It's Basketball Friday night. Big thank you to our newest affiliate, 91.5 FM WRSG in Middleburn. Shout out to Greg Goodfellow, Scott Northcraft for getting us online and on the air tonight. We appreciate everybody in the Middleburn area. Streaming video live from the studios at Marshall University. Visit basketballnight.com for video, audio, and the scoreboard updated as soon as we receive information from games playing throughout the night. Become our Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia correspondent. Join us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. If you love high school basketball, then there's only one place for you to be after the game. It's Basketball Friday Night on the Fast Break Sports Network. Call the show. We want to hear from you tonight. Toll free, 1-855-345-4709. 855-345-4709. You can also send your scores in, scores at basketballnight.com, scores at basketballnight.com, and you can use Twitter. Join us at Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. Big shout out to the folks sending us tweets tonight, and new follower, Jasmine Bauer. Thanks for following us. Also, Holly, Trey Slider, Easy Breezy, Tim Carper, Bill Camp, Jacob Staten. It's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Celebrating high school basketball around the Mountain State, you're listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to your hosts, James Collier, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
10:50 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Gang's all here. James Collier to my left, Braxton Crisp to my right, Bo Anderson also here in studio with us tonight as well, resident referee, who I inadvertently did call Bo Miller earlier, and Bo Miller still hasn't called back on
he
that.
must not be listening tonight, because I think he would have called on that one. That's definitely a technical foul.
And I've already apologized to Bo Anderson for making that.
I mean, that's almost like having a player not listed in the book checking in the game.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, I'll tell you, Ryan, I'm going to try to forgive you, but
of course, we got Coach Marone down at Tulsa High School, who is with us and taking time out to stick around to be part of the program tonight as well. We mentioned before the break we have a new member of the Basketball Friday Night family. That is WRSG 91.5 WRSG in Middleburn. That is in Tyler County. Donald Butcher is joining us now. And Donald, first of all, it's our pleasure to be a part of the programming now at the radio station in Middleburn.
Yeah, it's great to have you guys. I know there's a lot of people who listen and tune in, and, you know, basketball is pretty big up this way, and folks in Middleburn and all of Tyler County are really hoping that this really young Silver Knight team can get things turned around after picking up a pretty nice LKC win last night.
Now, let's talk about this ball club a little bit. Tyler Consolidated, it's been a little bit of a rough go over the past a few years, and a program that moving down into Class Single A now. I believe this is the third year for that. Where you mentioned that trying to get the young guys get it turned around. How do you change that? I guess what I'm looking for here is the air around the program, where you're trying to not accept losing. You're trying to improve and get that winning mentality.
Well, this is definitely not the type of teams that I played against. As a St. Mary's graduate, I played against a lot of really solid Silver Knight teams, and one of the big things is with the population drop in the area, all the sports took a real big decline. And I thought with all the success that the football team had this year, really turning around, making it to the state playoffs for the first time since, I believe, 2007, and as many football players as were on the basketball team, I think a lot of people really thought this was going to be a team that was going toward the upswing in terms of trending to get better. And one of the big things that has really hurt them is injuries. They lost their best player last year during soccer season to a torn ACL, and he was out the entire year. Coming into this year, arguably their best player, 6'2" junior postman Cordell Stewart, who's about as wide as he is tall, and I mean that as a compliment if the Stewart family is listening. He's an absolute beast down low, and he injured a knee during the state playoffs against Moorfield, and he was unable to go during basketball season. So they're consistently starting a senior, 3 sophomores, and a true freshman in Dylan Roberts on this team. And it's just a lot of youth. Head coach J.C. Kimball is doing the best that he can. But right now, like I said, in the LKC, it's just a battle every single night, whether it's a Williamstown who's top 5 in the state or consistently ranked in the top 10 in the state, a Ravenswood, Parkersburg Catholic, a St. Mary's. You're just getting punched in the mouth every single night. And when you're starting kids that are this young, it's just really difficult. But there's a lot of talent there and a lot of capable ball players if they keep at it, that this can be a very good team in the LKC North in the coming years.
Well, the Silver Knights 3-12 record at the moment on the boys' side, and the girls' team 3-13 at the moment as well. And again, I know the records are sometimes tough, but that doesn't necessarily it's not an end-all thing, because this is a foundation type of year for those ball clubs where you're trying to build for the future, where you talk about all that youth. But again, I think the hardest thing to do can be at that age is to learn from defeat, because it's easy to say that when you're older and more mature, but when you're younger, it gets frustrating to deal with. What is the give me kind of the finger on the pulse, so to speak, of the folks around that program? Are they looking at the future as being very bright, or is it still just, yeah, we're young, but it's still going to be a rough go for a while?
Well, they've kind of accepted the direction that this season has gone. This team hustles a lot. One thing, you'll see a lot of mental mistakes, but again, that comes with being young. You don't see a lot of heads getting, bowed during the game. You don't ever see them really give up. In the last game that we called on the 27th, they scored 2 points in the fourth quarter against a very solid St. Mary's team. And the Blue Devils were playing full-court pressure defense, as head coach Mark Barnhart always does. And you've just got young guys bringing the ball up the court, trying to deal with this pressure, and they're trying to do the best that they can. And that, I think, is the good thing, the fact that they're not getting down on themselves regardless of their record. And you can see that in them coming out and beating another young team in Wirt County, that they got that victory last night. So, again, I think if they can find like you said, a way to get to learn from these losses, not get too down on themselves, realize that there is a lot of talent that still returns next year. They will lose Blake Carpenter, who is the starting point guard, and they will lose Jonathan Lancaster, who's one of the few big men that they have. But outside of those two guys, anyone getting serviceable minutes of any note is coming back. So there is definitely the room for improvement for this team. And as I said, the LKC North better watch out, because if they can figure out how to get things just consistent and play within themselves, this is a team that has a lot of talent.
One saying that I either heard, or I'm not going to say I came up with on my own, but I can't remember where I heard it, so maybe I did. Progress is a process, and I think that's what they're facing right now at Tyler Consolidated. That is WRSG 91.5 in Middleburn. Donald Butcher, thanks for joining us. And like I said, we're thrilled to be on board there with you guys.
And we're really happy to have you. And I hope you get used to this voice, because on Friday nights I'm going to be calling in and giving you updates on the Silver Knights.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Take care.
You as well. Thank you.
That's Donald Butcher, and he had the Tyler Consolidated game, and we're going to have to take a break here in a moment. We'll have Bill Cornwell and the scoreboard update. But first, our resident referee, Bo Anderson, has been talking to us during breaks. He says, I got this situation that came up. I want to get to talk about it. Can we do it in 2 minutes, Bo?
Yeah, I can try.
All right.
Good luck with that.
Well, wait a minute. See, I'm getting cut down.
Yeah, I know.
And
now you're at a minute 30.
Well, here we go. I know a guy that's an assistant coach now, and he was an official once, and he had a guy in the stands giving him some trouble. So he walks over to the guy at the halftime, and he said, "Sir, do you think that you can do a better job than me at officiating this game?" And the guy said, "Yes." And he said, "Well, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in the locker room. I'm going to get a whistle. I'm going to bring it out to you. Then I'm going to go back out and referee this second half. And every time that I make a call and you don't like it, you blow that whistle, and I'll come over and discuss with you why I missed it." So he goes in the locker room, he gets a whistle, he comes back out, he gives it to the guy, he goes out on the floor, and about a minute and 30 into the third quarter, he calls a foul, and that guy blows the whistle. So he goes and reports the foul. Then he goes down to the deputy and said, "Sir, that guy's got to go. He's got a whistle." So I thought, I wish I could have come up with that, but the guy told me now he carries a dozen whistles with him everywhere he goes.
Well, it kind of goes right into the tweet that I saw earlier today from one of the tournaments that were going on. It may have been with the Big Atlantic Classic, but there was a tweet from one of the media members said that one of the officials just stopped and asked a lady in the crowd, "Would you like a whistle?"
Well, you want to try to ignore that as much as possible, but some cases, you just you hear them, especially whenever it's a game when there's only 12 people in the stands. It becomes a little bit more obvious, but you never know what's going to happen night in and night out, and it doesn't make it any easier on us to hear all the names. Obviously, I don't have much hair, so one of the things I hear is being bald. I've had scenarios where people have said, if you shine your head like you shine your shoes and all that stuff, you hear stuff all the time. But, it'd be nice to give every fan a whistle and let them blow it whenever they like and see what kind of call they could make.
I'll tell you, that shiny dome blinded me a couple times from across the court at Spring Valley tonight.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, see? Yeah, we won't mention why we called you over. I'll tell you what.
I got called out. I walk in the gymnasium, and I've got 2 West Virginia SSAC-sanctioned officials waiting on me, and I was beckoned. As soon as I walked, I'm like, "Oh, man, this is bad news. What did I say about these guys?" And then I saw one of them was this cat, and I'm like, "Yeah, this is bad news. I may not make it out of the Wolves' den."
Hey, I just tell you, at least that shows that you're nervous whenever I get ready to call that tee.
I'll tell you, nobody enjoys teeing up the Basketball Friday Night crew like
that guy
Bo
right there.
Anderson. Yes.
I enjoy every bit of it.
Every tee he delivers, his head expands exponentially.
The only thing I'm missing tonight is not being able to get Marone a little closer range here,
Have you ever called a technical on someone you can't actually see? Because I think you could do it tonight on Marone.
Well, I could, but like I said, his voice sounds so good tonight. I know he didn't. I know he didn't holler at the officials too much tonight. Thank goodness.
As Coach Marone just gives us the silent treatment. Right now,
well, the silent treatment, I have to intervene. I was still, to be honest, I was flashing back to last year, and Braxton mentioned teeing up somebody you don't see. I'm still in my mind trying to figure out the charging foul with your back turned, but that'll be for another show. That was something that came up last year, and I still haven't figured that out. I'm perplexed.
Okay, well, a little bit later on the show, we're going to talk about that, so that'll be part of it.
I've got a good one for you as well. It happened in a college game, but we're going to discuss. I want to get your take on this one.
And that's why you've got to stay around for the last hour of Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. We had to take a break. We'll come back. We'll get a scoreboard update, and we'll hear from Bill Cornwell. We'll go back to the phone lines as well. Here's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia continues on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
For scores online, all of them, visit basketballnight.com. Thanks to all of our affiliates broadcasting Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, including 91.5 FM WRSG in Middleburg, 106.7 FM WHFI Linside, 101.9 FM WVOW Logan, 1290 AM WVOW Logan, 90.7 FM WFGH Fort Gay, 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM WQAZLP Edmond and Beckley, 101.7 FM WYAPLP Clay, 88.1 FM WMUL in Huntington, Power 92 Radio, 92.3 FM WYRCLP in Spencer, 97.9 FM WSPW-LP in Parkersburg. There's many other ways to connect with Basketball Night in West Virginia. You can check us out on Comcast if you're a Comcast subscriber in the Huntington area. We're on channel 25. Armstrong Cable, we're on digital channel 204. You can go to basketballnight.com and you can watch our streaming video feed or click Listen Live. And you can listen in with any mobile device or any computer. We want you to become part of the show. Join us on Twitter. Send us scores, updates, thank yous, whatever you'd like to send. At @hoops_roundup. At @hoops_roundup. Call the show tonight. 1-855-345-4709. Basketball Friday night in West Virginia.
This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, heard statewide on great radio stations. Visit basketballnight.com to find the station nearest you. Get all the scores, all the time at basketballnight.com or on Twitter @hoops_roundup. Now, back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with James Collier, Rick Marone, Rudy Raines, and Ryan Epling.
11:05 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia into our final hour. Ryan Epling, Rick Marone with us remotely from Tulsa High School. We've also got James Collier in studio. We've also got Bo Anderson, our resident referee, who is here with us tonight as well. And Braxton Crisp, who's sitting right beside me. He right now has a check of our basketballnight.com scoreboard.
It's the top of the 11 o'clock hour basketballnight.com scoreboard. We'll work backwards on this one, starting with girls, as Tulsa gets a victory over Scott 69-43. Tasha Nichols, a double-double, 16 points, 12 boards. Also in Class AA girls, Philip Barber and East Fairmont postponed to February 10th. Mingo Central wins the girls' battle of Mingo County, 58-34 over the Tug Valley Panthers. Calhoun County and Clay County, we just heard T. Drew Griffith a moment ago tell us that one wasn't able to be played today. A game that was played was Kaiser, the number 6 team in Class AA, defeating Hampshire 67-50. Another final score, number 3 Fairmont Senior defeating Liberty Harrison 66-22, and the number 1 in Class AA Wyoming East Warriors get a victory 72-42. Gabby Lapardis, her second triple-double in the last week, 15 points, 11 rebounds, and 10 assists. In Class AAA girls, Preston scheduled to host Lincoln. That game postponed to February 20th. Bridgeport, the number 10 team in Class AA, defeats the number 10 team in Class AAA, Buchanan Upshur, 53-43. Huntington St. Joe, the number 2 team in Class A, wins 56-52 over the number 7 in Class AAA, Hurricane Redskins. And the final score in girls action tonight, Logan, the number 5 Class AAA team, gets a victory 71-49 over Capital. Moving to the boys' side of our scoreboard, as Wahama gets a 77-64 victory over the Eastern Eagles out of Reedsville, Ohio. Ritchie County and Tyler Consolidated couldn't get that game played tonight. Sherman gets a 1-point victory over South Harrison, 70-69, where South Harrison got 41 points from Zach Wentz, but just couldn't get another point to tie it or take the lead. 100 and Paw Paw couldn't get it played, and I know it breaks Ryan's heart. Man Hillbillies scheduled to host the Montcalm Generals. That one canceled as well, as was Greenbrier West and Tigers Valley. That one actually be made up tomorrow as part of the West Virginia Hit Tournament. Moorfield, the Hardy County Hardwood Classic, gets a 63-61 victory over the neighboring East Hardy Cougars. Van travels to Blacksville and gets the victory 57-55 over the Clay Battelle Seabees as part of the West Virginia Hit Tournament. Midland Trail and Cameron, as part of the same tournament, postponed until February 5th. Valley Wetzel welcomes Buffalo in and gets a 13-point victory, 78-65 in the West Virginia Hit Tournament. Tug Valley, number 10 in Class Single A, gets a 61-51 victory over Fairland out of Ohio as part of the Huntington Invitational just down the road. Valley Fayette is supposed to host Payton City tonight. That one postponed to February 4th. Williamstown goes into Wood County, and farther into Wood County, I should say, and gets a 88-48 victory over Parkersburg Catholic. The number 3 Greater Beckley Christian Crusaders on a weekend road trip up north get the win in the first game of the back-to-back, 64-42 over the Trinity Christian Warriors. And in Class Single A as well, the number 1 Wheeling Central Maroon Knights, an 85-66 victory over Martins Ferry. In Double A, Indian Creek out of Ohio knocks off Weir 48-25. Pikeview and Summers County will try it again tomorrow after trying again today from yesterday's original scheduling. East Liverpool, an 86-51 victory over Oak Glen. The Potters out of Ohio victorious there. Petersburg wins 74-32 over Frankfort. St. Mary's supposed to go to the Pit in Ravenswood and face the number 9 Red Devils. That one postponed to February 12th. Scott, the number 7 team in Class AA boys, gets a 63-49 victory over the number 10 Sissonville Indians. Independence and Westside postponed tonight as well. Poca, a 40-point victory, 63-23, the number 1 Dots over the Herbert Hoover Huskies. In AAA, Martinsburg 57, Shady Spring 49 in the Big Atlantic Classic. Parkersburg 63, Propel Andrew Street out of Pennsylvania 63-56 victory for the Big Reds. Jefferson with a 56-45 victory over Spring Mills. Hurricane and Winfield, a Putnam County battle there. The Redskins win in overtime 76-75. Sharando wins 51-35 over Hedgesville. The Warriors out of Virginia victorious there. George Washington with a 71-63 victory over Ripley, snapping the Vikings' 3-game winning streak. Cabell Midland falls to the Spring Valley Timberwolves 85-63. Brooke and John Marshall are postponed until February 18th. Wheeling Park, the number 10 team in AAA, with a 58-49 victory over the Steubenville Big Red. Greenbrier East defeats Hampshire 80-64 in the Big Atlantic Classic. The Huntington Highlanders go to Nitro and win 78-48. The 105 Highlanders stay rolling in Class AAA. Parkersburg South makes the trip down I-77 to Beckley. The number 4 Patriots victorious over Princeton 83-76. Morgantown wins the Mohawk Bowl in boys basketball. The number 3 Mohicans 63, University 37. Woodrow Wilson defeats Washington 56-36 at the Big Atlantic Classic. And our final score on the BasketballNight.com scoreboard update is number 1 in Class AAA boys, South Charleston 80, St. Albans 47, with Brandon Napper scoring his 1,000th point.
Thank you very much, Braxton. We've got a backup of callers. Let's go right to the phone lines. Bill Cornwell, Billy C., welcome to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Gentlemen, pleasure to be with you. I just wanted to say a couple of things. First off, quite a impressive thing for Spring Valley tonight. For the second time this year, they were able to honor a 1,000-point score. That is so rare in high school basketball. Tonight, just 7 seconds into the ball game, Greg Herbert gets a beautiful setup on a baseline jumper and nails it, and he's got 1,000 points in his career, joining his senior teammate Jacob Kilgore. So rare. Any high school in the state, and Spring Valley very fortunate to get to. Many people who follow me on Twitter probably saw the word I said tonight's performance for Spring Valley over Midland. One word: strong, and that's in caps, all caps, because it was strong, and it was really it just seemed like Spring Valley just was a step faster. Shooting was outstanding, and this certainly is a preview of sectional play in just a few weeks, and a lot of work for Steve Hibbert and Cabell Midland to be even competitive in the section. And when you think Spring Valley, Huntington involved in that section, among others. I also wanted to talk a little bit more about a busy day tomorrow with the Huntington Classic. I know you guys had some of the scores from tonight. Good day tomorrow for some West Virginia teams in the Huntington Classic. And for those of you around the state, this is the old St. Joe Invitational. It's now kind of morphed into a kind of a, I guess you would, kind of like the tournament in Beckley. Certainly doesn't have the track record, but some quality basketball tomorrow. Great St. Joe girls team taking on Boyd County. Of course, Boyd County, a team that features a Marshall University recruit in Logan Fraley. Should be interesting there, and that tips off at 12:55 at the Big Sandy Superstore Arena. Another interesting game tomorrow, guys. Mingo Central and the Dawson Twins will be taking on the Huntington Highlanders at 4:55. Also, another Mingo County, Cabell County battle at 8:35 tomorrow night. St. Joe and Tug Valley in boys play, and that sandwiches an interesting feature of this tournament: a college game. There's a college game tomorrow night, 6:45. WVU Tech and the Red Storm of the University of Rio Grande. So some good basketball tomorrow at the Big Sandy Superstore Arena, and quality competition there. I'm really looking forward to seeing Huntington High and Mingo Central do battle. And, of course, Huntington High had a game tonight and has to follow it less than 24 hours later with a contest. So we'll see if they have a little bit of fatigue. And certainly Mingo Central could be a good battle, even though it's a AAA, AA contest, guys.
Thanks very much, Bill Cornwell. And absolutely, I think that would be a good ball game with that you mentioned. And the Huntington Classic, it, like you said, doesn't quite have that same flair that the Big Atlantic Classic currently does, or even that the St. Joe Invitational used to have. But you got to start somewhere, and they're putting together good matchups that are somewhat. Again, we talk about non-traditional matchups. Teams that are all around basically the tri-state that don't necessarily play each other are playing each other in Huntington.
Exactly, and we've seen it since Wednesday when they got started. And we talk about the St. Joe Invitational, and I was involved with it for years, and you were involved with it, and many others. And it was a great tournament, but you really just could not get teams to obligate themselves for 3 days or for 2 games anymore. It was the folks at St. Joe just could not schedule it. Plus, they lost their regular venue in the field house, the Veterans Memorial Field House, when it was torn down. But the Huntington Prep and Huntington St. Joe folks worked well together to put this event together, and it's led to some nice improvements. For instance, they've redone the old Marshall floor over at the Big Sandy Superstore Arena. Nice paint job on it. They need to make a few more improvements for basketball, to be honest with you, at the arena to make this thing a go. But so far, so good in 2 years, guys.
Hey, sounds good. Bill Cornwell, thanks for joining us tonight. You have a good weekend, buddy.
Okay, you too. Well, we'll see you at the Herd game tomorrow.
Yeah, there you go. You take care. That's Bill Cornwell. Again, the Huntington Invitational. We're going to talk more about that in a moment. We've got to take a break. We're going to talk with Tim Carper, who had a couple of those interstate matchups that I think were very interesting, and I'll give you a little background on the 2 teams that were out of state in those games as well to help give you some perspective there. Wes McKinney had the Princeton-Parkersburg South game, and we'll talk with Bill Lusk. He's an assistant coach with the Man Hillbillies and a longtime friend of ours as well. As Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia continues here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
A big thank you to our new affiliate tonight, 91.5 FM WRSG in Middleburn. Thanks go out to Scott Northcraft and Greg Goodfellow getting us on the air there, and we appreciate the reporting for Tyler Consolidated. Thanks for the shout out on Twitter from Uncle Ted, Jacob Staten, Bill Camp, Tim Carper, Easy Breezy, Dre Slider, Holly Trione, Jasmine Bauer, a new follower tonight. We appreciate everyone following us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup. At @hoops_roundup. Also to JB from WKKX. And Carol. Join us every Friday night from 9 to midnight at the home of high school basketball in the Mountain State. It is Basketball Friday Night. Go to our homepage, basketballnight.com. Check out tonight's poll question. We want to hear from you. And at the end of the show tonight, we'll tell you what the results are. Streaming video live from the studios at Marshall University. Visit basketballnight.com for video, audio, and the scoreboard. Updated as soon as we receive information from all the games playing tonight. We'd like for you to become our Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia correspondents. Join us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. If you love high school basketball, then there's only one place for you to be after the game. Basketball Friday Night on the Fast Break Sports Network. Call the show, 855-345-4709, 855-345-4709. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. West Virginia's high school basketball voice.
Stay up to date on your favorite teams. Check out basketballnight.com. Now, back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with Coach Rick Marone, James Collier, and Ryan Epling.
11:19 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Jam-packed show. Such a big show. We're not even going to tell you who all else is here. The whole gang's here. Rick Marone's even with us down at Tulsa High School. But joining us on the phone right now, Tim Carper, WGOH. He's been at the Huntington Invitational. Now, Tim is a Kentuckian, much like James, but a native Kentuckian. But Tim has been covering a couple of girls' games that involved Kentucky versus West Virginia in high school basketball action. Earlier this week, Wednesday, Ashland, Kentucky's girls, Paul Blazer High School, beat Spring Valley by 10. And then last night, East Carter defeated South Charleston. Tim joins us now. And Tim, first off, for those who don't know, Ashland has a player in Alexis Robinson who is going to the University of Colorado, and East Carter is 19-4 on the season. Those are two excellent ball clubs that those two West Virginia teams faced and lost to.
Two best teams in our region, no doubt. In Kentucky, we have regions instead of sectionals, but they're two top 10 teams here in the state of Kentucky. Ashland has been ranked as high as number 6. They beat the number 2 team in the state tonight, actually, in Louisville Mercy down at the LIT, 52-50. And you're right, Alexis Robinson, she's going to the University of Colorado. One of the best girls basketball players I've seen in this area in a very long time. She has everything. I mean, she's got a great jump shot. She handles the ball very well. She can post. She's 5'11", can shoot the three, can post you up. Very good basketball player. But she's not all they have. They have 3 other girls that could possibly play some small D1 school. Haley Sue Fouch is the center. She's also 5'11", long. Lanky, she plays more like 6'2", 6'3". Her arms drag the ground when she walks around. She's great. Shelby Gransberry, a very, very talented young lady for Ashland, can jump out of the gym, and she loved the floor, by the way, at the Big Sandy Superstore Arena. They said it was springy. She felt like she could almost dunk the basketball there. And then actually Alexis' little sister, Mikasa Robinson, who is just a freshman, may, and I'll say may with a big may, be better than Alexis when she's a senior. So you've got a core 4 from Ashland who's very, very good. But conversely, we're talking about East Carter. They beat Ashland earlier in the year. So 2 teams, top 10 teams in Kentucky, both very good. The Lady Raiders have 6 seniors. They go 10 deep. They're almost like a Calipari here. They can platoon and not lose a great deal. Kristen Mayo is their sophomore point guard. Her and Robinson are by far the 2 best point guards in the region. I heard Bill Cornwell mention Logan Fraley, who plays for Boyd County, who you'll see tomorrow, probably one of the best shooting guards in our region. She's had 3 straight games of 30 points, and she may have gotten her 2,000th point tonight. I haven't heard. She had 1975 going in to tonight's game. But East Carter loaded as well. So when those two get together, it's fun. I was impressed with the West Virginia girls that they played. I hadn't seen a lot of West Virginia basketball on the girls' side. But I was very impressed with the two teams that they faced. It was a 10-point game and a 6-point game. Very, very good basketball.
Well, I was just getting ready to ask. We have a school. People have state pride, obviously, and a lot of times you get to see interstate matchups, and then you don't necessarily see teams that are of similar caliber playing against each other. Again, for those who don't know, Kentucky has one state champion, one classification.
Right.
There are not multiple classifications like in West Virginia. What you saw two top 10 teams in all of Kentucky and two top 10 West Virginia AAA teams play, and AAA being West Virginia's largest division. How did, as we mentioned, good ball games. Would you say that those West Virginia schools would just fit right in with Kentucky high school basketball at this point?
I would say that they would, with a couple of exceptions. For the most part, girls basketball in the state of Kentucky, and I will, especially in this area, and I'll have to give you a little history. We go back several years to a man named Hop Brown, and James knows exactly what I'm talking about. Hop Brown changed the face of girls basketball in the state of Kentucky, really. He coached basketball like boys. Used to, girls basketball was 2-3 zone. There were 25,000 jump balls and 16 million walks in a game, and it took 5 hours to play. It was terrible, and the only people in the stands were grandmothers and boyfriends.
And the first one to 25 wins.
Exactly. You're exactly right. Hop Brown, who, by the way, one of your ladies that I talked to tonight, one of your operators, Alice Likens, is from Olive Hill, I think. She told me. I think that was her name. Says she listens to us occasionally. But Hop Brown from Olive Hill, from West Carter High School, changed the face of girls basketball. In Kentucky, very little zone defense anymore. It's in your face, man to man, full court pressure. It's get down and get after it. It's not like, and I saw some. I mean, not that the West Virginia teams didn't play some man to man. It was just a different style of man to man, and they played a little bit of zone. South Charleston played a lot of zone, anyway. Spring Valley played a lot of full court pressure. They were more like a Kentucky team in the way that they play. It just seems like between the two teams, a little bit more intensity, I guess, would be a good word for how the Kentucky teams came out on top in both games. The coaching in the state of Kentucky used to, you grabbed a janitor and whoever wanted to coach, you made them coach. Now people aspire to be a girls basketball coach in Kentucky, and you saw two of the very best in the Huntington Invitational, in Coach Bill Bradley for Ashland and Coach Hager Eastling for the East Lady Raiders. Both of those gentlemen have been to the state tournament multiple times. Coach Bill Bradley got to the semifinals last year with the Kittens, and they only graduated 2 players, so you had a really good team there. But yes, they're very comparable in talent, maybe not so much comparable in style, although I will say Spring Valley does play closer to Kentucky basketball than South Charleston did.
Tim Carper, WGOH in Olive Hill. We greatly appreciate you giving us a little bit of perspective there on those Kentucky and West Virginia matchups, and definitely a pleasure talking to you tonight on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Hey, no problem, guys. James, we got to do another game together soon, my friend. Take care.
Hey, you too, Tim. We'll talk to you soon.
All right,
my friend.
We got to get him across the river more often too, by the way. But nonetheless, we're going to stay right on the phone lines. Wes McKinney, WAEY. Princeton and Parkersburg South played tonight, and Princeton falls to the Patriots 83-76 in the Big Atlantic Classic. And Wes, first, thanks for sticking around with us. But Big Atlantic Classic on a big stage there in Beckley, a lot of points on the board tonight, but Parkersburg South able to outgun the Tigers.
Yeah, early in the game, Parkersburg South really took control, built up a double-digit lead there early in the first half. Princeton fought back, guys, within, I believe it was 4 in the third quarter. Another a Parkersburg South run extends the lead back out to, I believe it was 13. Princeton's down 12 with just 3.5 minutes left to go. And Aaron Ferguson, just monstrous game today. Maybe one of the best single-game performances I've ever seen. 36 points, 22 rebounds, and really just willed Princeton to a comeback to get it 76-77 with about 40 seconds left to go. But Parkersburg South, I got to hand it to them. They made free throws down the stretch, and that was really the difference in the game, because Princeton could have walked out of there with their most impressive win of the season. But once again, Parkersburg South just too clutch at the free throw line tonight.
Wes, how much did the loss of Aaron during the 2-game suspension he had to serve after receiving the double technical, how much did that hurt that Princeton team? I know I heard you last week when I was driving into the show after going up to St. Albans talking about he was coming back and the week that this team had and even having a possibility of coming away with a great week. How did that all play out, and has he really returned to full form after having to sit those 2 games?
Yeah, I mean, I think on Wednesday night at Ripley, he hadn't really seen a big guy, of the caliber of Luke Lehue and James. I know that you have had a chance to see Luke this year, and Luke kind of punched Aaron around there in the first half, and Aaron didn't punch back until the second half, and that turned into a really good game, and that was just a heartbreaking loss for the Tigers. And coming into today, I was really worried how Princeton was going to respond to a game that they probably should have won at Ripley on Wednesday night. And I was very impressed. And, we're getting in, winding down January, getting into February, and it feels like Princeton's really starting to figure this thing out. If they could just find a couple of scores to complement Aaron Ferguson, a couple of consistent guys, because one night it'll be Aaron has 25 points and Ashton Odell has 16, and then the next game it'll be Ferguson with 25 again, and then a different guy has 15 points. So if they can just find a little bit of consistency, find a second and third score, and I know the schedule isn't going to ease up, obviously. They got Shady Spring tomorrow in the constellation game of the Big Atlantic Classic, and then next week it's like death row. You go to Greenbrier East on Tuesday night, and then you go to Woodrow on Thursday night. So the schedule isn't going to get any easier for Princeton, but I really like the direction and where the Tigers is going. It seems like over the last 2 weeks they're really starting to improve. They wasn't really hurt that much by losing Aaron Ferguson for the 2 games they did, because they blew out St. Albans, and then I don't think Aaron Ferguson could have even bailed them out against George Washington, because they just looked flat out horrible against the Patriots. But I think they really bounced back from that little episode at Cabell Midland about a week and a half ago, and I really think that Princeton's figuring this thing out, and maybe get the 3 seed in their section. You have to go to Greenbrier East most likely, if you do get that 3 seed. But I think Princeton is finally starting to figure this out. If they can just put some more pieces around Aaron Ferguson, I think they'll be all right.
Wes, Braxton Crisp here. How about the non-traditional matchup there? You don't see a lot about Princeton playing a Parkersburg South unless they're in Charleston together.
Yeah, I think that was good for Princeton, because you just see the same teams in the MSAC year in, year out. You're going to see the St. Albans, you're going to see Capital, you're going to see, Spring Valley, Huntington, so on and so forth. And, I think this was a chance for Princeton to step out of their element and see a team that, in Parkersburg South, let's face it, they've been one of the more consistent teams in getting to Charleston here over the last 5 or 6 years. And, I honestly, I was impressed with Parkersburg South. They don't have that eye-popping star, but they play really well together. And I think maybe it's a learning lesson for Princeton, that, everything revolves around Aaron Ferguson, but at the same time, if you play together as a team, the results are there.
Well, always a pleasure to get to talk with you, Wes. I know, again, tough for Princeton, 2 tough losses this week, but certainly hope for that program that this isn't a step back, but a step forward, even though they were in defeat. 2 very tight ball games, and certainly wish the Tigers the best of luck moving forward, and look forward to getting to talk to you again next week.
All right, guys. Yeah, hopefully we're talking maybe about a couple of upset wins over Woodrow Wilson and Greenbrier East next week.
Hey, there you go. You just stay at it, my friend. Wes McKinney, WAEY in Princeton. Right now, we've got to step aside and take a break. When we come back, we'll have a scoreboard update, and I promise Bill Lusk will get to you as well, and we'll also hear more from Coach Marone. And hey, our resident referee may even pop a technical on somebody here tonight before the night's over. That says Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia continues here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
If you love basketball, then there's only one place to be. It's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Thanks for joining us and being part of the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family. A big thank you tonight to Scott Northcraft, Greg Goodfellow, for getting us on at 91.5 FM WRSG in Middleburn. You can also listen to us on 106.7 FM WHFI Linside, 101.9 FM WVOW Logan, 1290 AM WVOW Logan, 90.7 FM WFGH Fort Gay, 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM WQAZ LP Edmond Beckley, 101.7 FM WYAP LP Clay, 88.1 FM WMUL in Huntington, Power 92 Radio, 92.3 FM WYRCLP in Spencer, 97.9 FM WSPW-LP in Parkersburg. If you're a Comcast cable subscriber, dial over to channel 25 and you'll see us there. We're also on Armstrong Cable Digital channel 204. Go to basketballnight.com and you can watch us. We're streaming live in HD at basketballnight.com. You can watch it on any computer or mobile device. You can also click Listen Live and just listen to the audio. You can also see us on rsnsports.com. We want you to become part of the show. Tweet us at @hoops_roundup, at @hoops_roundup. And a big shout out to our new followers, Scott Norcraft and Chris Blake. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Stay up to date on your favorite teams. Check out basketballnight.com. Now, back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with Coach Rick Marone, James Collier, and Ryan Epling.
11:35 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. We've got so much left to do, and we're running short on time, so let's just turn it right over to James Collier for a check of your basketballnight.com scoreboard.
Looking for scores? Look no more. Go to basketballnight.com for all of your scoreboard needs. We're going to go through finals only. In Class AAA on the girls' side, number 5 Logan wins over Capital 71-49. Number 2 in Class Single A, St. Joe defeats number 7 AAA Hurricane 56-52. Number 10 AA Bridgeport defeats number 10 AAA Buchanan Upshur 53-43. In AA, number 1 Wyoming East over Brook Bruins 72-42. Number 3 Fairmont Senior 66, Liberty Harrison 22. Number 6 Kaiser over Hampshire 67-50. Mingo Central defeats Tug Valley 58-34. Tulsa with a win over Scott 69-43. All games in Class Single A on the girls' side were canceled, at least the ones that we have for now. In the boys section, Class AAA, number 1 South Charleston over St. Albans 80-47. It was number 2 Woodrow Wilson by 20 over Washington 56-36. Number 3 Morgantown 63, University 37. Number 4 Park South defeats Princeton 83-76. Huntington, number 5 in Class AAA, all over Nitro 78-48. Number 7 Greenbrier East over Hampshire 80-64. Number 10 Wheeling Park defeats Steubenville out of Ohio 58-49. Spring Valley over Cabell Midland 85-63. George Washington knocks off Ripley 71-63. Sharando over Hedgesville 51-35. No Sharknado here. Hurricane survives over Winfield 76-75 in overtime. Jefferson defeats Spring Mills 56-45. Parkersburg over Propel Andrew Street out of Pennsylvania 63-56. Martinsburg defeats Shady Spring 57-49. AA number 1 Polka stays undefeated 63-23 win over Herbert. Hoover on the Huskies. Number 3 Fairmont Senior just getting that one in. It was postponed. Number 7 Scott over number 10 Sissonville 63-49. Chapmanville over St. Joe 61-56. Petersburg defeats Frankfort 74-32. East Liverpool out of Ohio knocks off Oak Glen 86-51. Indian Creek over Weir 48-25. In Single A, number 1 Wheeling Central rolls over Martins Ferry Purple out of Ohio 85-66. Number 3 Greater Beckley Christian over Trinity 64-42. Number 7 Williamstown over Parkersburg Catholic 88-48. Number 10 Tug Valley by 10 over Fairland 61-51. Valley Wetzel defeats Buffalo 78-65. Van by 2 over Clay Battelle 57-55. Moorfield with a 2-point win over East Hardy 63-61. Sherman defeats South Harrison by 1 70-69. And Wahama over Eastern Eagles 77-64. That's a check of your basketballnight.com scoreboard update.
You know, we talk about Washington, George Washington, both being the Patriots. You know, in Ohio, and it's just in southeast Ohio, in Reedsville, which is in Meigs County, there's Eastern High School, which are the Eagles, and also in Pike County, which is neighboring Meigs County. Actually, there's also an Eastern High School there that they are also the Eagles. Come on, guys. Okay.
Yeah, let's mix it up a little bit.
Yeah. So West Virginia's not the only one with that little issue. Nonetheless, sorry, just had a momentary lapse there. Bill Lusk is assistant coach with the Man Hillbillies in basically every boys sport there is. He joins us now. And hey, Bill, first off, good to have you on the program. I haven't talked to you in a long time. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, doing pretty good. Glad, I guess you can say, make my season debut, I guess.
Yeah, season debut here on Basketball Friday night in West Virginia. And the Man Hillbillies, it's been a little touch and go for the basketball team thus far this season.
Yeah, a little 4-8 start to the season. Definitely not what we had envisioned, but I think when you look at the schedule and look at the level of competition that we've played so far, 4-8's not great, but hopefully the schedule will get us ready come tournament time.
Well, that's a ball club that has played Greater Beckley Christian, has played Tug Valley, has played Chapmanville Regional. I mean, those are all teams that are state tournament caliber teams within their classifications, and Sherman has had a pretty good year. Man beat Sherman earlier this year, and so definitely a difficult schedule. Is there a concern there that maybe you're overscheduled to an extent, though?
I don't think there's a concern. Honestly, I really don't think we have a whole lot of options being a Class A school in Southern West Virginia. There's just, there's not a lot of teams around us, a lot of schools. Mainly when you look at the Fayette County teams, they'll schedule up on each other, and it kind of leaves difficulty to schedule teams like Fayetteville or Midland Trail or someone. Plus, you also throw in the fact that they throw in they play in the West Virginia Hometown Invitational Tournament, and that takes away from games that you can schedule with them. So it's really nothing out of our doing. You can't be beggars can't be choosers, and we definitely can't be picky. We just have to take what we can get.
Bill, we've talked about this several times with different teams and coaches on the show, especially when you get into the small schools where athletes, they play multiple sports. This summer, this team picks up the state championship in Class Single A with an exciting extra inning win over Clarksburg Notre Dame. Have you seen that has really fallen over into the football program, into the basketball program, of that winning, that taste of winning that championship, starting to excel into the other programs as well?
Well, there's definitely an excitement from the other programs. The teams definitely want to be the next ones to get that ring for the school. But I can't really say that it really boiled over into football. At one point in the season, we're at 6-2, and we lost our last 3 games. We, Tug Valley game, first time we played them, quarterback goes down with a ankle injury. He's out the next week. Our leading tackler gets hurt in that same game, and in the following week, preparation for the Van week, we lose our big fullback, the guy that we like to refer to as the Cannonball, Neil Mullins, who I'd like to take the time to congratulate him on being named to the North-South football team, 1,100-yard rusher this year for us. He goes down with a knee injury, and he's out that game. And, it kind of hurt us seed-wise, but, we battled through it and took Tug Valley to the ropes, and a team that made it to the semifinals. And, basketball, we've had a few more kids come out this year, so numbers-wise, they're up. But as far as, that excitement boiling over, I mean, it's boiled over, but I just don't know right now. Hopefully, like we said we hope maybe it would be a domino effect. Once you got that first state championship, the others would start to fall into place. This basketball season ain't over with, so who knows? If we can get hot come March, you never know.
Well, Bill, we always enjoy talking with you. We missed you so far on the program, and hopefully we can get you back here a little bit later on in the season here on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Well, it's been a little difficult trying to fight with cell service coming in and trying to get some stats and stuff out. But before I go, I'd like to know if your resident official has ever issued a technical foul on a coach for a door that he has not slammed.
Well,
during a basketball game, I would like.
No, I've not had a technical for slamming doors. Maybe basketballs, but not doors. So that would be a first.
I think it's a first in any sport. And what happened was a couple of years ago we was playing Huntington St. Joe in a JV varsity doubleheader, and I happen to be the head coach of the JV team. And we're in a tight game, and there's a couple of my kids. There's some contact inside and a foul not called, and one of my guys get called for over the back, and I just made my point known that all the contact was inside. I disagreed with, and I couldn't believe that he'd called something like an over the back call, and he warned. He says, "Coach, stay in the box, stay in the box." So I go back and sit down, and no sooner than I sit down, Huntington St. Joe Gymnasium down there, which they fixed the problem now, but the home locker room, the door kept opening and slamming. Well, about the sixth time that it slammed, the referee decides to issue a technical foul, and I'm like shocked to believe that this just happened. My one and only technical foul, and needless to say, it's one that I didn't deserve.
and he didn't even get to make it a good one.
Well, just be proud that you're not on the level yet of Coach Marone. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Always glad to be here, Buzz. The human piñata. I feel my role. I know where I belong. The only thing is I don't give you candy when you beat me into submission.
hey, Bill Lusk, assistant coach of the Man Hillbillies. Always a pleasure, Bill.
No, it's a pleasure to call in, guys.
All right, you take care. And right now, we've got to take a break. And this is our final break. We'll come back. We'll do a scoreboard. We'll talk about our poll question. Go to basketballnight.com. That's closing now. We'll have a new poll question. We'll tell you what it is. We'll have the results of this week's. We'll also have another little quick feature on our Standout Athlete of the Week. We've got so much to do and so little time to do it. Let's go to break right now here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Thanks again to all of our affiliates. We appreciate each and every one of you broadcasting our show, Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Shout out to Greg Goodfellow, Scott Northcraft for helping us get on 91.5 FM WRSG in Middleburn, 106.7 FM WHFI in Linside, 101.9 FM 1290 AM WVOW in Logan, 90.7 FM WFGH Fort Gay, 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM WQAZLP in Edmond and Beckley, 101.7 FM WYAPLP Clay, 88.1 FM WMUL in Huntington, Power 92 Radio, 92.3 FM WYRCLP in Spencer, 97.9 FM WSPWLP in Parkersburg. You can also catch us on Comcast Channel 25, Armstrong Cable Digital Channel 204. And we're always on basketballnight.com. In a variety of ways, you can watch the streaming online video. And we haven't had any troubles with that tonight, thanks to Mike Stanley and Marcus Constantino, Braxton Crisp. They did a great job in fixing our technical issues with our streaming video. You can listen online also by going to basketballnight.com and click on Listen Live. We want you to follow us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. Thanks again to all of our new followers tonight: Scott Northcraft, Chris Blake, Jasmine Bauer. We appreciate each and every one of you sending us scores tonight, too. We want you to become part of the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family.
This is high school basketball's home for the Mountain State. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to Basketball Night in West Virginia with James Collier, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
It's the case of January madness here on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. 11:48 on the program. Again, running short on time. What we're going to do is James will have the boys' scores. Braxton's going to have the girls' scores. Let's get one final check of our basketballnight.com scoreboard.
Looking for scores? Look no more. Go to basketballnight.com for all of your scores from around the Mountain State. We're just going to go with team names only. Scores are on the website, basketballnight.com. Here we go in the boys. Class AAA. South Charleston picks up wins. Woodrow Wilson, Morgantown. Parkersburg South. Sorry, I had a little mishap with the computer. There we go. Huntington, Greenbrier East, Willing Park. All in the top 10, all victorious. Spring Valley, George Washington, Sharando, Virginia, Hurricane in overtime, Jefferson, Parkersburg, and Martinsburg, all victorious in AAA. In AA, number 1 Poca, number 7 Scott over number 10 Sissonville, Chapmanville, Petersburg, East Liverpool out of Ohio, and Indian Creek. In Single A, number 1 Wheeling Central, number 3 Greater Beckley Christian, number 7 Williamstown, number 10 Tug Valley, Valley Wetzel over Buffalo, Van over Clay Battelle, Moorfield defeats East Hardy, Sherman over South Harrison, and Wahama knocks off Eastern Eagles. Braxton, you got the girls.
In AAA girls, Logan over Capital, St. Joe Huntington over Hurricane, Bridgeport over Buchanan Upshur, Wyoming East over Brook, Fairmont Senior over Liberty Harrison, Kaiser over Hampshire, Mingo Central over Tug Valley, and Tulsa over Scott. Actually, one more. Bishop Walsh over Paw Paw.
So the Pirates fall on the road tonight in girls high school basketball. That is your basketballnight.com scoreboard. Our standout athlete of the week this week is Elijah Cuffey. Earlier you heard Andrew Harrison. We talked a little bit about him. He was able to do some research on Elijah, and now we have a little bit more on our standout athlete of the week.
Elijah Guffey is a sophomore standout basketball guard for the Polka Dots, and he is this week's Basketball Friday Night Standout Athlete of the Week. While Guffey averages close to 14 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists per game, Polka High School principal Victor Donaldson says what Elijah does off the court goes beyond the school building and into the community.
Elijah's a member of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. I know he does community service work within the community. He's involved with the intramural program. But like I say, Elijah's a humble guy. He lets his actions speak louder than his words.
Elijah's GPA is a perfect 4.0, and it should not be a surprise that he's enrolled in advanced placement courses. Principal Donaldson finds it's not just Elijah who's putting an emphasis on the student part of the term, student athlete, but all of his teammates do as well.
Their overall GPA is a 3.75. All the kids on the basketball team, they're all homegrown kids. They're all Polka kids. Went up through Polka Elementary, Polka Middle, now they're at Polka High. No transfers. None of them are ever in trouble at school. They exhibit all the positive character traits that Polka High School wants to be known for.
There are fans of Elijah who appreciate his God-given talents, but his older brother Jason Cuffey understands better than others why Elijah is successful on the court.
I had a lot of God-given talent as far as athletically, and then they see Elijah being successful on the court. And I think one thing that they don't realize is that he has worked so hard to get where he is now. I mean, definitely a lot harder than I worked when I was in high school. His work ethic is incredible. That's why, kind of being on the inside and seeing how hard he's worked, it just makes me even more proud as an older brother.
Elijah's on and off the court successes are a product of his strong work ethic, that is complemented by his humility. These are the ingredients for a recipe that spells future success in his life. Reporting for Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, I'm Special Correspondent Andrew Harrison.
Thank you very much, Andrew, and again, congratulations to Elijah Cuffey, this week's Basketball Friday Night Standout Athlete of the Week. And guys, Coach Marone, hey, I know that you haven't been able to be with us tonight in studio, but you're with us tonight nonetheless. And I've been there for the long haul. We've gone over 2,000 hits to our website, basketballnight.com tonight. How many? You haven't been clicking the website and like messing with our numbers on us, have you?
Well, you've heard of auto dialing. Election time. I mean, I didn't want you guys to get your morale down or your self-esteem. So, unlike what Bo Anderson likes to think I'm here for, I'm here just to lift up everyone else. But that's awesome, and the traffic is being handled well. And I tell you what, I'm hearing a lot of good things around the state. That is the one stop that people make when they want scores and all kinds of information about basketball.
Well, poll question on basketballnight.com. I'll turn that over to Braxton Crisp because, and again, we're an open book on this show. Braxton inadvertently tweeted the poll question from last week, but it opened up a lot of discussion. So basically, Braxton, you've got the poll question that we had this week to go over, and we can also talk about the poll question that you did tweet out, which, again, generated a lot of discussion.
Yeah, this week's poll question was talking about administrators sometimes having a quick trigger to cancel games, trying to err on the side of caution for everyone's safety, or, is trying to put the onus on, hey, we need to get these games in. The final results were 54% to, we need to try to get these games in as much as possible. It's because rescheduling makes for some really hectic situations, almost like what Spring Valley Girls did this week, 3 games in 3 days. Not the most ideal situation. So thank you all for voting on basketballnight.com. But last week's poll question, which I inadvertently tweeted out, really opened up a lot of interesting discussion. Actually got some coaches from outside the Mountain State replying to us, talking about how, how these things go in other parts of the country. And I think that's really interesting to compare and contrast and see how the state of basketball is in West Virginia as compared to some other places.
Yeah, they're talking about how the shot clock, like in Washington, D.C., there were people there who were for it. We even had a college coach who was following along and had put in his thoughts as well, James Arnold, who is the head coach at Central Methodist University in Missouri. So I appreciate hearing from him. He's a West Virginia native, though, and if you're a West Virginia native, you never quite leave.
No, you never leave.
Yeah, you might not be here, but you never leave.
And real quick, to kind of throw this out there as well, to kind of echo what Rick was saying, I made a trip to Hurricane. I was there earlier this week. Hurricane was at Spring Valley for the girls' action, and I got to meet the mother of Mary and JT Rogaszewski, and she's such a sweet lady. She came over. She talked about the show, said they tune in every Friday night. This is where they go to get everything around the state. They love the show. Said keep up the great work to everybody on the crew and the staff. So and it was kind of funny too. While I was sitting at the table getting ready to set up for the Spring Valley Hurricane girls game, the girls coach comes over and she says, "Are you the guy from Basketball Night?" And I went, "Yeah." And she's like, "Well, I told my husband I thought that was you and didn't think." And he goes, "No, that's him." And I was like, "No, he wouldn't be here."
They roll out the red carpet now.
I guess so.
We certainly and hey, we are humble and appreciative of
Absolutely.
everything out there because it's for you guys. It's about you guys. You guys do the hard work. We just have fun. We celebrate basketball. That's what we're here for. And Bo, the backwards charge. No.
Yeah, no, gosh, Bo, pull it in, man, pull it in. Save that one for another time.
We will have to save that the charge taken to the back.
Yes.
For next week, and we will do that for sure. But Bo, we certainly always appreciate getting to talk with you. We appreciate you coming in and joining us tonight as well.
Well, I enjoy the show, and I really do. I listen to it even when I'm on the road or when I'm waiting to get a call in. Again, it saved me some cell phone minutes tonight. And I know that Coach Marone is not in the studio tonight because that referee shirt that I brought doesn't have a big red target on it tonight. So, but other than that, I really do enjoy this show, and you guys do a great job, and I think it's something that West Virginia has needed for a long time.
Well, we certainly appreciate that. Braxton, you've got the poll question that will be posted to basketballnight.com.
In about a minute. Currently, high school basketball plays 4 quarters, each lasting 8 minutes. Should it stay that way, or should it go to the half system, playing 2 halves of 16 minutes? Let your voice be heard on basketballnight.com until 11:45 next Friday night.
A big thanks to all of our affiliates out there, including our new affiliate in Middleburn and Tyler County. We expanded. We're almost hitting every nook and cranny within West Virginia. We're working on it. We're almost there. We want to thank Andrew Harrison, our special correspondent, tonight as well. For Coach Rick Marone down at Tulsa High School tonight. For James Collier in studio after coming back from Spring Valley. For Braxton Chris. For Bo Anderson. And for the numerous people in the back who make this show go. This is Ryan Epling for Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Thank you for listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Tune in next Friday for the latest high school basketball action from across the Mountain State. Visit our website at basketballnight.com to find out how you can stay connected with us throughout the week. Until next time, have a great weekend, and thank you for listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. The preceding broadcast is a presentation of the Fast Break Sports Network. Copyright 2014. All rights reserved.